Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cinematic Realms. I'm your host, John Webster, and I've got a full house tonight. We've got, returning special guests, AK and Dan, aka Voice of Geekdom, and we have a first-time guest on the stream today. We're going to try not to get confused because we got Danny McKay is on with us, and like all three of you guys are big Star Trek fans, so like this feels like it had to happen. All of us together for this this first stream on a Star Trek movie, which I'm going completely out of order. We're already going with the Next Generation film, but that's fine. Doesn't matter.
Big ball of wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. It don't need to be in order.
Exactly. So yeah, I just want to thank you all for coming, and we'll go around. We'll start with you, AK, and then we'll work our way in like a clock formation. Just to tell the people a bit about yourself.
Oh, AK. I usually run with the Mad Queens and several other folks. I always say if you want to find me, sub to my friends because that's where I be at. I'm rarely ever on my own channel. I'm glad to be here. I'm talking Star Trek. No one ever taps me to talk about Star Trek, and y'all don't understand. I literally live in Klingon space. I don't know if y'all knew that about me, but that's like where I stay. So anytime you want to talk Star Trek, we can do it, John. And Danny, you have been down with me in the chat since like forever, man. So it's so great to be on a panel with you right now. And Dan, lovely to meet you. Really happy to be here. Let's get into this.
Yeah, excellent. How about yourself, Dan? You do something. What is it? It's oh God. There's something you're into. I can't remember for the life of me what it is. What could it be?
Is it Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah, that's it. No, tell the people who you are and what you got going on, my man.
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm my channel is Voice of Geekdom, and as John just subtly implied, I am a Lord of the Rings YouTuber. I've been covering the Silmarillion for a long time. I've been covering Numenor on my channel, and I love the Lord of the Rings. And my second biggest fandom after the Lord of the Rings is Star Trek. I fucking love Star Trek. So I'm absolutely hyped for this stream.
Yeah, it was great because it started off where I asked. I think I asked you first, AK, about coming on for this, and then I knew like Danny and I had been talking about doing Star Trek stuff together a long while back, and then I mentioned something, and then Dan was like, Star Trek, yeah, I'm in on that, and so it just worked out wonderfully. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Danny, I know you don't have your own content that you do, but you just want to tell everybody about yourself.
Yeah, this movie is the reason I'm a Trekkie. I wasn't a Trekkie before this movie came out. I was aware of Star Trek, but this is when I was like, yep, I'm in 100%.
Yeah, we can just sort of talk a bit about just our backgrounds as Star Trek fans. I know for me, it's funny. I'm probably like the least Trekkie person in this group, but that doesn't mean that I like don't love it to death. I think I started with when I was a kid watching the original movies with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, and that was sort of where my fandom came from. Ironically, I was not super big into the television shows. It came all through the movies, and I actually saw Star Trek Generations without having ever seen anything of the Next Generation crew. And then I'm pretty sure it was probably the same for this movie as well. It wasn't until later on that I started watching episodes of the show on syndication and stuff. But and then now, of course, I've seen that whole show and Deep Space Nine as well. So I'm a huge fan of especially newer. Well, I guess they're not newer iterations anymore, but at the time they were new. And Danny, we'll just we'll go in reverse. Just what was your you say this is what made you a fan. So what was your experience of seeing this, and how did it lead to just a full-on love of Trek?
Yeah, I guess it came out on DVD like in 97 to 98, right around there. And yeah, I had seen a little bit of the, that's the DVD I bought. And I'd seen a little bit of the show, but right after this, I was sold 100%. You know, just the music, the movie, like, you know, there's a little bit, no, that I could talk about that later, but yeah, I don't know. I love this movie. It's great. It's, I'm a space geek, so it hits all the buttons for me.
Yeah. Dan, what about you? I'm interested where you started off with your love of Trek, because as you said, you fucking love Trek. So go ahead.
Yeah. The Next Generation came out the same year that I was born. I grew up with The Next Generation. It was my introduction to science fiction in general, I think. I know that it was my introduction to science fiction. I grew up with the TNG stuff. One of my first memories of television is the Best of Both Worlds two-parter, the cliffhanger at the end, and the Borg. And this movie is almost a sequel to that two-parter episode. So you can imagine this is a big part of my childhood, massive part. And yeah, I just grew up with TNG. I think I hit the Star Trek movies, the original TOS movies, before I got into First Contact. And yeah, as I say, a lifelong passion for me is Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm already getting called out for not
facial hair,
for not having my beard.
That lack of beard, man.
I actually thought I was going to be okay. I thought it was going to grow in a little faster than it did, and nope, it just needed like another day to get there. But yeah, AK, where did it all start for you?
Hold on, give me un momento. Actually, I can talk while I'm doing this. I think it started probably when I was around 7 or 8. My stepdad used to watch the original series on Saturdays. So I started off watching that, and then got into Next Generation, and just really hit the ground running from there. What you'll see right now, or you should be seeing, is me at Marcon a couple years ago. That's my Belana Torres cosplay.
Let me see if oh god, I'm trying to see how to
and I happened to meet a girl that was also that was also dressed as a 7 of 9. So nice. That was pretty fun. Like, that's how deep in a Trek I am. If I cosplay a character, you know I love my shit. From there, it just goes on. I do literally have like the Klingon wall of weapons. I don't have it set up just yet because I'm in a new apartment and I haven't decorated yet, but that's eventually what's going to be behind me when I don't have cool stuff going on the green screen backgrounds.
What's that weapon that Worf uses when they're out by the deflector array? It's that small, one-handed.
It's the one hand. There is a specific name for it, but I cannot think of it.
Yeah,
now.
I watched this morning.
See, I should have written that.
What that is.
I should have written it down because I was listening to the writer's commentary and they actually gave a specific name for it.
I don't remember what it is either, but I bet it has an apostrophe in it.
Yes, it does. Actually, I can let me look it up right now while I'm thinking about it. I know my dream weapon really is to get like a designer. Damn it! I just had the name in my head and I forgot. A bat'leth.
Yeah.
Because those weapons are freaking cool. It's like the ultimate blend of a sword and all of the cool flippy stuff.
So I'll let you guys just chime in whatever order and whenever you want. But like, what is it? I mean, I think we're all pretty gung ho about this film. What is it in your minds that makes this one so good? I mean, I remember it always stood out to me. Like I saw it for the first time, actually. Weirdest thing, I was on a cruise ship with my parents, and they were running it on the TVs and, like, you know, in the cabins, and so I saw it on this really small screen. I hadn't made it out to the theater to see it, and even in that, seeing it in that way, I was blown away by it. But I don't know, what is it to you guys that really makes this one stand out?
Honestly, it's almost it's kind of almost a diss, but the thing that made it stand out, I forgot some of the cameos that were in this movie until I did the couple of rewatches for this stream. And the whole pantheon is seriously lacking Voyager movies and Deep Space Nine movies. They pretty much cut from Enterprise and then just skipped over and went into the new and reboot stuff. Yeah. There are so many more adventures to be had, especially where Deep Space Nine is concerned. It kind of made me sad. But the biggest thing that I thought was great about this, again, I forgot some people that were in here. Alfre Woodard has been around in many nerd things, and I don't think people realize what her credentials are. She's done quite a bit, and she was great in this movie. I think she's probably my favorite character in this whole movie, the whole situation. She is absolutely gold. I mean, talk about an appropriate response to waking up on a spaceship after seeing a guy take a full, like, freaking magazine of bullets, and he's just standing there talking, "Oh, hey, how are you today?" That's not normal. And she, again, appropriate response. She gets up, she automatically almost starts going to the fisticuffs when she gets up, and she assesses everything. But I think every one of us would like to think that we'd be totally okay meeting aliens or going into any random otherworldly situation. I don't think that would be reality. She dipped out the first chance she got. She broke away from the main group, found a weapon, and then went to work. And it was great. You know, once she calmed down and Picard, you know, she got her answers to the questions and her confusion, she did not miss a beat. Picard didn't tell her nothing of the plan when they were on the holodeck. He didn't even really have a plan. He was just flying off the seat of his pants. And she came in with the backup, already ready to throw hands, no questions asked. Like, just watching her roll through and process everything for the future coming was probably my favorite thing about this whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, her relationship with Picard and that sort of...
and I totally ship them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when they say goodbye at the end of the movie, I always think, like, can she just come back to the future?
Either that, or at least, I mean, I guess he did it out of respect for Beverly. You know, he wanted to give her a full on kiss. Okay, as quiet as it's kept, Picard was out there in space slinging way more dick than Kirk ever did. I'm just saying. Can we be real about that?
I don't know. I mean, Kirk was definitely getting out there, but
he was. Picard was just way more suave with his shit. Him and Riker. Riker was a little playboy too.
That was Riker. Yeah, Riker could definitely give Kirk a run for his money for sure.
Bye, Amy. Thanks for stopping in.
See you, Amy.
Bye, Amy.
But yeah, back to what I was saying though. I do really like just the way they play off of each other throughout the movie, and it all does build to that great scene between them where, you know, she's the one that calls him out, and it's like I just love that. It's like, if we can get off this ship and blow it up, let's do it.
Yeah,
right, exactly. And that was a way more solid plan than what Picard was going to do. She called every beat right when she went in there and gave him the talking to. Like, look here, little bastard. Okay, we don't have time for this shit. There are lives at stake. My life, particularly. You're already in your future. Okay, I'm trying to get to mine. So let's not do all this nonsense.
Yeah, I think even when she encounters them on Earth, and she's the first to fight. You know, she gets to space on the ship, and she's a little freaked out, but she handles her shit, like you said. And, you know, she's obviously, like, scared of the Borg, right? She's not scared of humans. She has humans figured out, you know? and that's why she's so effective at calling Picard out on his bullshit. She's not a member of the crew. She doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to acquiesce.
Like,
yeah,
bullshit, dude. This is what we're gonna do. This is what you should do. And
I heart you, Ames.
And let's say I'm just going to call out that moment that just played behind you, AK. This movie is actually filled with some good cameos.
Very good ones, yes.
Yeah, which I actually the one show I haven't seen is Voyager, but I am aware of this character and the fact that it was
he was the best character on Voyager.
He was we could debate that, but he was good. He's in my top 5, absolutely.
I like B'Elanna as well. You cosplayed as B'Elanna. She's one of my favorites as well.
She's my number 1.
I for me it's between those two actually. There's a lot of good characters on Voyager, but it wasn't the best show. But
no, the writing was hinky. Yeah.
But it was really good to see the Doctor, for sure.
Mm-hmm. We had Neelix too.
What's great, I think that all of these, the characters that popped in, the cameos sort of worked well on their own, because back when I saw this, I hadn't seen like Deep Space Nine or even the TNG television show, but a lot of these moments were just, hilarious on their own. You even get that moment later on in the film where Barclay shows up. It's like having not seen the show, I had no idea who this was, but it just plays into the comedy of
Barclay,
not wanting the attention. And then, of course, once I saw The Next Generation and I went back and watched this, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Barclay made a whole lot more sense to you after you got his backstory. Yeah. I wouldn't expect Barclay to react any other way than he did.
Definitely. He shows up a bunch of times in Voyager as well. I love his appearances in Voyager.
For how scared of a character he was and having to really find himself, he was a really, really smart guy and really rose up to be a very valuable member of the engineer team.
Yeah. I love how he goes into, Geordi, and he's like, oh, we have to reinforce the copper tubing. He already knew what he was doing. He just wanted to get next.
He just wanted to talk to him.
A bit of his airspace, Like, it's so great to meet you. I feel Barclay in my soul. Like, I know that kind of meeting your hero kind of thing and shitting your pants in front of him. That's exactly
what I was about to touch on. You got to this whole show, the whole thing with Cochrane, really, it's a case study on meeting your heroes and hyping them up and romanticizing them in your head. Cochrane was not worried about any of the stuff that they were talking about. They totally did not read the room talking to this man. This dude's only motivation ever was fuck bitches and get money. That's it. And be as drunk as he can be while doing so. They literally were like putting him on a pedestal like he was space Jesus. He didn't care about any of that. He just wanted to get rich.
Well, that's why it's so funny, because like there are sometimes in movies there's lines that are so freaking hilarious only on second viewing. It's like when you go back to watch this and you hear Picard say he must be here. This flight, it was his dream. You're like, no, it wasn't.
It was not.
He's dreaming about the island with the naked women.
He basically wants his own private planet Risa. That's basically it. He wants planet Risa in his backyard, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's another great. We can look to Lily being the hero of the story, because even if the Borg didn't show up, Zefram Cochrane doesn't get off the floor because he's so drunk. If Lily's not there, he's a shit show.
And Lily's not there to pick him up.
Yeah. So I think that just.
You are absolutely right, Guilty. Yep. That is a fair assessment.
And then of course, and now I'm just gonna be commenting on all the scenes that pop up behind you, AK, because we've got the drunk Troy scene, which
hilarious. First of all, Marina Sirtis, I know you will never see this video, but I heart you, my queen. You can still get it. All you gotta do is give AK a call. I'll be happy to help you out. Troy. You think about how she is and the level of absolute professionalism and care always when dealing with anyone. And then you see her after taking 5 shots of tequila to the dome. It's not a good look. she does not know what to do with herself at all. And Riker, forever the playboy, is just sitting there chuckling like, "Oh, bitch, you drunk." And he didn't say it. But he was thinking, but
it's like, this is no time.
Ain't got nothing to do here.
This is no time to argue about time. We don't have the time.
Meanwhile, you sitting here got time for shots, though.
So great. And I just love the fact that, in that scene, James Cromwell gets to really just be as ridiculous as he wants to be, dancing to the music and everything. Dancing. I just love the fact that, and I didn't know when I saw this movie that he had actually done some Trek guest appearances on TV. So at the time, it was like they've got this. You would think that I would think the same about someone like Patrick Stewart, but I just because he had already been in Trek for so long. But you look at someone like James Cromwell and you're seeing him otherwise in like these prestigious dramas, and you're like, how did he wind up in this movie? But it's apparently he had already been doing stuff with them. So, but he's so good. It's just great seeing him goof around, and I just love the moments and the cockpit where he's like, "Oh, we can't take off," and he's just the music, and he's got a jam Steppenwolf as they're blasting off.
Right, and Riker was so serious. He was like, "Oh shit, something's wrong. Wait, we gotta abort." And he's like, "No, I got it." Pops the CD in, and you could just see the look on Riker and Geordi's faces. They look at each other like, "What is this dude for real?" It's the realest thing ever. I love it.
Can you imagine the first warp flight before like Geordi and Riker were there, and like he was just literally jamming the entire time. He was just like flying to Pluto and back, just listening to his music before the Borg showed up and the timeline got changed.
Yeah.
Well, hilarious. The question is like, what is oh god, why am I forgetting all the characters' names?
Which one?
Hold on a second before
Data. Riker,
no. What's
Lily?
her name? Lily. Thank you.
Lily.
You have to wonder like, what's Lily's taste in music, and was she going to be on board with with jamming to the music the whole way up? Because I don't know. I can very easily picture her filling the role of being like, okay, that's enough.
I think she literally would have just rolled her eyes like, here we go again, and just let it slide. And when she was sick of it, she would be the one to unplug that and be like, okay, that's enough. Let's go. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah. I got a whole backstory, headcanon thing about Lily's responsible for the ceasefire, that they're experiencing when the Borg shows up. Like the Eastern faction used to come and attack them, right? And then, they steal and pillage, and then, they try one time and Lily just probably messes everybody up, and then, hey, let's go back, get Zephram Cochrane. The guy's like, no, that's Lily's camp. We can't go back there, Like, she shot Bill 3 times and hit Reggie in the face with a pipe. Like, he still can't see straight. I'm not going back to Lily's camp.
You know what? I support that headcanon.
Yeah,
that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
But
John, are you drunk? I don't think John's drunk yet.
No, I'm trying my hardest to get drunk off of my water here, but
me and Dan are the tipsy, saucy folks right now.
I've just got back from the pub because England just were playing football. And
that's right. I forgot you guys are in the thing now.
I know you came on and you said that like you were apologizing. I'm like, no, that just makes it better.
Yep.
But it's interesting because I was listening to the writer's commentary for the film, and you mentioned the Eastern Coalition, Danny, and apparently at one point they had a lot more in the film about the politics of what led to the Third World War, and then they were like, it's not important. There's no need to actually get into that. The important thing is that as humanity, we kind of failed, and we allowed ourselves to have that war, and this is the aftermath of that.
Yeah, a broken world.
Yeah.
And as viewers in the 21st century, or originally when this movie came out at the latter end of the 20th century, we know the Third World War is coming. It's coming at some point.
I am really surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sobering thought, sorry. But it's still a fact.
Okay, so I've got to, we've jumped around a bunch, talked about a bunch of different stuff. I really have to I can't not get to it. It all starts with the opening titles where we hear Jerry Goldsmith's music for the first time, and those titles keep they keep pulling back, and there's a rack focus where it shows each person's name. And I just have to mention this because what I love so much about this is there's such nobility to the music, and it's this great emotional theme, but it also, every time I watch this, it gives the feeling of, as you're seeing all these actors' names with that music, it's almost like it's treating each of those names with such reverence. It feels like it's paying homage to these actors who have given so much of themselves to track into the roles and everything. And I could feel that even as someone who hadn't seen the whole television series at the time. And yeah, it's just, Danny, you and I were talking about just the music overall. Personally, I think this is some of Jerry Goldsmith's best work, and he's done a lot of really great stuff. The man is responsible, first of all, for he established the main theme that we hear in this movie too, which is the Star Trek the motion picture theme, but he also did Alien
Blended.
and and so many other things, more like in the 90s he was doing a lot of great music for The Mummy, First Night, which is another one of my favorite scores, even though I know opinions definitely vary about the movie, but I think the music is great. And but yeah, so I just had to get that out because the music just makes me weep every time, and that theme only appears 3 or 4 times throughout the entire film, and it's always in these very key moments. It pops up again for the first time when Picard shows Lily that they're in a spaceship and he's pointing down to Earth, and she's having this experience of it's like this it's a commentary on people watching Trek and being brought into the world, and it's that same sort of thing. And that's another reason why I think this movie works so well, because it's sort of universal, and Lily is the audience. So it's we have a viewpoint into the story, which I think is why it's such a popular entry, because anybody can really come into this movie and enjoy it.
Yeah, and that speaks testaments. Sorry, go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, well, her whole arc so far has been a fire drill, so she gets a little bit of a rest, and so do we, and it's and the music's beautiful, and then on the official soundtrack, the last 25 seconds of that song, kind of brings you back to the horror feeling. It's got really high strings and some creepy metal sounds, and it lets you know the Borg are in the next room. You guys buckle up. You haven't heard from Ensign Lynch in 25 minutes. You guys get back to reality. But it's a great tune.
It's an appropriate response again, and that speaks to the skill of Alfre Woodard. She's taking in that whole experience, and she's looking down at Earth. And while that's great and really magnificent, the first thing she notices is there's no glass right there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when Picard puts his hand down and she jumps at the sound of his hand hitting the force field. And she's like, how is that tech even like working? Oh, it hasn't been invented yet. Excuse me? And that's when Picard has to drop the other foot. Like, well, we're not just from space, but we're also from the future. Mm-hmm. So, and they didn't show that part of the explanation that he gave to her, but you could almost tell that like her mind, literally explosion. And it's oof. How would you ever really react in that state?
I think one of my favorite lines from her is just a few minutes before when Picard says, that is set at maximum. He says, if you had fired this, you would have vaporized me. And she goes,
such a good line.
It's my first ray gun.
Such a good line. Yes. That's such a great line. It's so fitting. She goes from holding her first ray gun to seeing her first force field, and then she has to walk through a freaking minefield of Borg drones, and every little twist they make makes her jump. I mean, I'd like to think that I'd be okay walking past the Borg, being a badass and whatnot. I'm probably going to be a little bit jumpy, though, because I'm nervous as fuck.
That would totally be my reaction. Like, I'd be crapping myself.
Like they were literally walking like this close to her, like bumping into her shoulders and stuff. Like, oh, don't touch me.
Yeah.
That would be a very
out
scary
as well,
thing.
doesn't she? The scream is very believable, actually.
No, absolutely. Appropriate response the whole time.
Sean points out another great line. Actually, I never read it.
Right. Yeah. She basically what was almost every movie nerd. Well, I saw it, but I didn't read the book. I have time. But she's been fighting in wars, man. She ain't got time to read.
Yeah. Another part of what I think made this movie very successful is the fact that, Trek fans coming to this are like, oh my God, the Borg, we love the Borg. But also the Borg, are basically like, make this film like a zombie movie, basically. And that's very accessible to people.
It's very Walking Dead. It's very Walking Dead. Because they don't know what zombies are. And again, Lily's character, she's Rick in episode 1 of The Walking Dead. She has no clue what is going on and why these weird space people with metal all over their face are in her vicinity at all.
This movie changed the Borg as well, didn't it? Because the Borg were different in the TV show, I think. The big change is the Borg Queen. I'm sure we'll talk about her in more depth. But
let me go ahead and creep everybody out now.
The Borg changed in this movie because they were always the collective consciousness element of their character. They evolved. They did evolve. Yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm. That was the first time we really heard a Borg say "I."
Yeah, and Data's confused by that when she first shows up. And, if you've watched the show, you know why that's confusing. So this movie really changed the Borg in an interesting way.
Very good way.
Yeah, it's one of those things the writers actually talked about this, where initially they did try and preserve just that notion of the Borg as a singular sort of entity. But the problem is, in a movie, like, you need a villain. Someone that you can actually, interact with one-on-one and have scenes with. And as much as you want to preserve a really cool idea for this species, established in the show, at the end of the day, it's a movie. You're bringing in people. You need someone for, to face off against. And they did so brilliantly with the Borg Queen. The actress's name is Alice Krige, and like I've seen her in other things when she's not the Borg Queen, and she really does maintain this like eerie, like sort of, no offense, but she is kind of creepy, like as far as it's her eyes are kind of unsettling, and that just the way she is, it was absolutely perfect for the Borg Queen. She's got that kind of Tilda Swinton thing going on where, so, and I think her stuff with Data is just absolutely fantastic, if really, really disturbing.
I enjoy the implied sex between the two of them as well, and the camera cuts, and it's like I can't quote it directly at the moment, but I'm thinking back to when Data had sex with Tasha Yar in TNG, and he was like, I'm fully functional and programmed in multiple techniques.
Yeah, and he repeats that line.
Fully functional.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought about. Was it has been a while since Tasha, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
And the fact that he knew down to the minute and the second, that just always hilarious when Data starts getting into that mode. And isn't it's kind of crazy? I actually just thought about it. Even in the freaking space age with cybernetics and shit, it always boils down to sex.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
When they cut back to Data with his new skin grafts on and stuff, and his hair's all disheveled. You could tell they were boning. Right before Picard walked in. She gave him the special skin graft.
He got a little thing going on.
Yeah. The scene where they first graft the skin to his arm, because it first goes on his arm, doesn't it? And he's like, "What are you doing?" And then she blows on it, and he gets goosebumps. Yeah, and I just want the next line to be,
was that
so
good
where else can you put this on my body? Yeah.
Right, that creepy ass. Oh, was it good for you?
Yeah.
Weirdo zombie cybernetic self away from me.
No, that's just what I was going to comment on when Picard comes back later, and Data's got the skin grafts on half his face. I'm just sitting there wondering, so where else did they graft skin on during that time?
You know where else it went. They didn't need to show it. They implied it just enough to where you knew what they just got done doing before Picard walked in.
Yeah, they had an extra 6.5 laying around. They hooked them up.
It's my headcanon, and you can't tell me different.
Oh God.
You put this panel together, young man. This is your fault.
I did. It's totally my fault. I don't know what I expected. And especially I'm the one who was happy when Dan said that he was drinking. So
We are not nasty. You was thinking the same thing, Kelly. Don't judge us.
Okay, so another little thing I wanted to bring up, we were talking about some of the actors who had popped up from Next Generation, some of the other shows. A guy who was not from any of the previous stuff, who got marked as a red shirt the moment he popped up, was poor Neil McDonough, who has gone on to do other stuff since this. So now he actually looks like, he's a well-known actor. But at the time, it's like, you see this guy pop up, it's like, oh, dude.
No, he's going to die.
I'm not going to get attached to you. Bye-bye.
Yep.
And then, of course, he gets taken care of in that great scene on when the Borg are putting together the dish to try and contact the other Borg in the 21st century. And I just love that, because that scene moves so, it's almost creepy in how slow it moves. And it's a real long drawn out process how they have to, pull out the locks and put them back in. And the Borg, like I said, it's like a zombie movie. So the Borg are moving in slowly towards them, but it's just like, no, move faster.
Yeah.
And then we get that great moment with Worf at the end. Assimilate this.
Yeah.
You know what I thought was with Worf actually was the intro when we saw him, and
Yes.
it was the first thing that reminded me about Deep Space Nine. He was on the Defiance.
The Defiance.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so great to see because these worlds are so connected, and they didn't give us enough of what could have been big screen Voyager and Deep Space Nine. Yeah, it saddens me.
Yeah,
especially DS9. There should have been a DS9.
Oh yeah,
I'm like really
100%.
Absolutely.
I'm so upset about that now because, well, I say now. It's been a lot of years now. But
yeah, I'm over it now. But
when I was, I want to say it's probably been almost 10 years since I watched Deep Space Nine for the first time. But I remember seeing that show and going through it and being like, oh my God, this is so great. Why didn't I watch this before?
A great series.
And then going back and watching this and seeing the Defiant, and it's like, oh my God, it's like I wanted so, as long as that show did run for, I still I want more DS9 stuff even still. Yeah. And yeah, but I do love when he comes on board the ship and Riker's like,
Riker,
tough little ship, and he's like, little.
And then Riker always the freaking Joker. So you do still remember how to handle tactical, right? And Worf just looks at him, and at the same time, when I see Worf and Riker, I'm also seeing Xanatos and Goliath. So I'm like, Xanatos, bro, shut up, okay? Goliath will punch you across the bridge, dude. Cut it out.
You have no idea how happy it makes me that I know that reference.
For those of you that don't know that reference, it was a great cartoon called Gargoyles out back in the day. Michael Dorn played the character of Goliath, and Riker, Jonathan Frakes, he was also a director on the show, but he also played the key role of Xanatos as well. Actually, Troy was on that too. That was damn near another Star Trek reunion show. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, what was the name of the character she played? Because she was
something Lila.
Delilah, maybe.
No, it wasn't. No. It wasn't Delilah. Oh, damn it! What the hell is that? Somebody, Google that. I got too many things open on my screen. I can't open up another Google thing.
I'm gonna grab it right now.
Who was Marina Sirtis in Gargoyles?
Demona.
Demona.
That was her name.
Yes.
It sounds like they all had the same agent and they all got the same cartoon.
But I remember that was the big thing when I watched that show when I was a kid. Yeah, it was voice actors from Star Trek.
And it was such a great show. Such a great show.
Yeah, I always felt like it was going to turn into a gargoyle stream. It had the same sort of style of animation similar to Batman the Animated Series. Yes. Which was, I need to revisit that show. I think it's on Disney Plus. Everybody go watch Gargoyles. Not right now, but once we're
done. Not right now, but later.
I'm trying to think where to go from now because we've just been jumping all over the place. But there's just so much that I want to talk about out of order with this movie because I just think of one thing and then I'd go right to it. But I'm just looking at some of the pictures that I grabbed for this. Another one of these moments, it goes back to what I'm saying about this movie having sort of broad appeal, like even small moments, like when the Borg first start taking over the ship and, before anybody notices that something's wrong. And then you got the one, the unfortunate guy who goes, into looking into the heating. And then the girl goes up behind him and she just has this terrified expression on her face. And she just is like, Paul,
can I say something?
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Please don't be offended, my Caucasian brethren, but stop going to check out what the creepy noises are. Sometimes you could tell by the look on her face. She knew something was wrong. Don't go up there. At least don't go by yourself. Don't separate from the group. That's how you die quickly. Just don't do that, please. Stay with the group.
Yeah, that's not offensive. That's sound advice. That's that's legit.
I've never understood like why people, first of all, go anywhere by yourself when when something freaky is going on, and it's like definitely don't go into dark areas.
He was literally in a tiny little tunnel and he saw shadows moving. You knew nobody else was working in that section, but there's stuff moving and you hearing weird noises. Why would you not alert people to do more than what's happening?
Also,
right now?
you use your tricorder. You've got a tricorder,
You didn't even need to go look. Exactly. You could have found out if there were life forms there. Jesus. It's upsetting.
Yeah, it never made sense to me. That's why that's why horror movies usually don't work for me, because I'm like, you're an idiot. Don't do that.
Or at least go get a weapon, something first. He literally just stuck his neck out like, hello. Now they know where you are. Yeah. You almost had the advantage of sneaking up, but you ain't have no weapons with you, nothing.
And right before that as well, they keep saying the temperature is like 41.9 degrees Celsius in this, or whatever I don't know what the number was, but they keep saying, they keep repeating that line, and I just think
it gets down to like 39.
I know what's happening here. At some point, Picard is going to figure out that that's the temperature of a Borg cube.
There's the kicker, though. Geordi noticed it before they even went on the away mission, but he didn't think that it could have anything to do with the Borg.
Do you know why that scene is there? Because they needed to see engineering before it got
messed up again.
Yeah. So they basically had to write a quick little moment in engineering with just some techno babble just to establish it. So poor Geordi ends up looking like an idiot just because they needed to establish engineering. Oh well.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
them's the breaks.
But
Geordi gets the short end of the stick a lot of the time in Star Trek. Actually, he's always the guy.
Is really, really sad, man. Especially when it came to his love life. Like, y'all really made this man fall in love with a hologram and had him create this whole connection in his head. Meanwhile, the chick is married on Earth. She ain't thinking about you, bro. She's not thinking about you at all.
He does get some
so sad.
Not yet, anyway. In the finale of TNG, they do mention that he's married to somebody who has the same name as that character that you mentioned. I don't remember her name at the moment. Leah Brahms, right?
Yeah. Leah Brahms.
Yeah. They mentioned that he's married to somebody called Leah, which we assume is probably her.
Huh. Interesting.
So he got there in the end.
So
it's been a while since I watched that.
So a lesson for everybody out there: go ahead and make that fake hologram version of the girl you have a crush on, and eventually it'll come true.
Okay, soon as that technology gets made up, I will go and get my 7 of 9 and live my Bolana Torres and 7 of 9.
If that technology exists, I'm doing it no matter what, Like,
you know damn well the first thing they tested when they came up with holograms was, can we fuck it?
Yeah.
That's where it always goes.
I mean, that's generally where technology always starts, right?
Yeah.
But Geordi does get some good moments in this. I love when he's doing the whole, this is right where your statue is going to be. It's like, oh, Geordi, what are you doing?
Read the room, my guy. Do you not see this man's face? He does not care. He is not on that noise at all. I don't understand why they could. And even Riker called him out on it. He was like, bro, you told him about the statue? What? This man literally ran miles into the freaking mountains to try to get away from this thing. I don't want to be a statue. Like, y'all really threw this man into a panic attack. Stop with the hero worship. These people are really just people. Like, when you meet your heroes, try to remember not to put them on that pedestal because they probably hate it. And also hashtag free Britney on that note.
Absolutely.
I really like the moment in that scene with the joke about taking a leak. Cochrane says, "I got to go take a leak," and Geordie doesn't get it, and he's like, "I'm not detecting any leak." Because that's a nice callback to Star Trek 4, you know, with the going back in time, the time travel. This being the second time travel Star Trek movie, and having that line in there, it's a nice callback because it's that scene with like Kirk and Spock where they're trying to like fit in. It's the same kind of deal where the language has changed so much to the point where there's no colloquial language in that same way that we're used to. It's used really well.
Yeah, I just
hashtag free Britney.
Yeah, I love that Geordie is like, oh, I get it. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
When he finally gets it. Yeah.
Right.
I feel like Geordie's going to go back on the ship and try and start to make that happen again.
He's trying to bring back Leak, yeah.
And you know what? The whole thing really it comes full circle when it comes to like just meshing things together, because we're not like really near the end yet, but just because we're popping around, what's the first thing that Cochrane shows them with Vulcan? He sets him down at the table, has a drink with them, turns on some music. And when they blast the music, the Vulcans all jump up like, what is happening? They're like, no, come down. It's okay. We dance to this. And Vulcans, he's looking at him like, bro, they don't dance, man. That's
it's funny because
it's not a thing.
I've had completely different reads on that scene at like different points in my life now. Like back when I was a kid, I found that really like charming and funny, and now I see it, I'm like, oh god.
Watching it with adult eyes, you're like, oh, you are embarrassing the human race, dude. These are extraterrestrial, extremely intelligent people. What are you doing? You're definitely making them think we're children out here. Damn it. I mean, and we are, but don't live into that, man.
It's like, don't show them. Let's try and keep it a secret for a while, like until they get to know us better.
Oh my goodness. I mean, really though, thank goodness it was the Vulcans that saw that signal first and not like the Romulans or the Klingons, because the way history could have completely changed if it would have been one of those two, or heaven forbid the Kardashians. Ugh.
The Ferengi show up in Montana.
You know what? The Ferengi would have fit right in, because humans are always about getting freaking money, okay? I'm telling you, if it would have been the Ferengi, totally would have vibed with that shit.
Right.
No doubt in my mind.
The Ferengi would have probably signed some sort of contract with Zefram Cochrane for like exchange of goods and resources.
Right away.
He would have ended up with a vacation on an island with naked women at the end of it. But
he would have gotten Planet Risa. He would have gotten his Planet Risa. That's facts. I agree with you, Dan. Good job. I agree.
Yeah, I also, since we bring up the Ferengi and Quark, he was actually at an earlier point in the writing of this film, he was going to make a cameo in this, which was Quark. Because instead of going for the Voyager cameo, like early on, what they were going to do was originally they had a scene where the Enterprise, arrives back in the future, and apparently Quark was going to make a cameo. I guess the thing was that they were maybe trying to dock with Deep Space Nine, and
that would have been
for
cool.
repairs or something like that. And he was going to come out, being Quark, and
that would have been great. That would have been great.
But I don't know. For the film, I think it works best because you want to end it kind of in the past with with the whole First Contact thing, and so I think, as much as I would have loved to see that, I think probably for the film it's the better choice. But But then again, just to see Quark on the big screen in a Trek movie would have been so great. Yeah.
Speaking of Quark here, I want to give a shout out to him for the episode in DS9 where he parodies Picard's speech to Lily, which is I can't remember the name of the episode at the moment, but
I don't remember the name. I know which one you're talking about, though.
But it's the episode where he's worried about the Ferengi kind of slide towards kind of, more modern values, more progressive values, where the Ferengi are kind of. I think it's the episode where he gets given the Nagus position.
The Nagus, yeah.
And
he has a freaking panic attack about it.
And the Nagus kind of is inclined towards more progressive policies, as Ferengi would see it.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the long speech where he's talking about how he won't stand for these changes that are happening in Ferengi society, and then he ends it with, "This far, no further," from Picard's speech, and it's a brilliant movie from DS9, brilliant callback from DS9 to this movie, because they kind of tease the whole thing about the economy not being dependent on money anymore from Picard's earlier speech in the movie. And as you watch that scene in First Contact, and you think, not sure how that works really, Picard.
You know what? As soon as I heard that, I was like, yeah, unless you're Ferengi. That was my first thought when I did my rewatch.
Which I've never really understood the practicality of how that works anyway, because it's like somebody's responsible for like the garbage. Are you really doing that because we
work to better ourselves and all of humanity?
Picard tends to be a bit romanticized and naive sometimes when it comes to all of that, because there are people that are not worried about money, but if you tear everything down to the bare bones, it's still about money and power. It's just a different form. That's it. Yeah. Also, since you brought up Deep Space Nine and Quark, shout out to the guy that played Rom's son, Nog. He passed away a couple years ago, if I remember correctly. So shout out to that guy. He was also he cameoed on Star Trek Voyager once. He was a young teenage I forget the name of his species, but he was basically on a First Blood mission. His coming of age thing. He had to go out and like kill somebody and then bring the carcass back home or something or other. Kazon, that's what they were.
That felt so fresh,
right?
To me,
yeah, I remember that.
Because they had done a Deep Space Nine documentary a number of years ago, which I had watched, and then it felt like it wasn't very long after that he passed away, and he had featured in that, and they had even talked about what a next season of DS9 would have been, and he featured in the plot for that, and so I remember when I heard that, it just felt really fresh and raw, and it just made me really sad, because I just loved, and that's the thing, like I haven't mentioned this yet, but when I watched Deep Space Nine, it actually, to be a little personal, it came at a time when I was kind of going through some stuff. I wasn't that happy, and then I watched that show. I binged it on Netflix, and it just allowed me to focus on something that was, a story that sort of took me out of myself and let me just get lost in it. And so that show means a lot to me. And so when I heard that, it just, it broke my heart. But yeah. So
Facts.
I'm, and to get a little nerdy for a second, it's like they went through and they remastered The Next Generation a number of years ago, and I really want them to do the same for DS9, because that's a beautiful show that deserves to be brought up to today's standards as far as the quality and everything. And so I hope they still do that one day, because I think then people who maybe haven't watched the show before would give it a shot if it's
doesn't get enough credit. DS9, totally
it doesn't. It's a hidden gem in the pantheon. It really is.
Yeah, and really it was kind of the stepping. So I don't want to call it a stepping stone, because it's much more than that. But it's where Ron Moore got to really start doing a lot of the stuff in the realm of science fiction that then he would go on to do Battlestar Galactica, and do a lot of things that he wasn't allowed to do, for say Next Generation, and DS9 is where you can see a lot of that. And it's. I just love it, and it really, that show got to me a lot more than I think I expected it to. Okay, we're about halfway through, so we'll go ahead and do the mid-roll.
Mid-roll.
For anybody watching who, if you're a new viewer, we're not going anywhere, so stick around. This is just the halfway point. I thought I was going to have something to announce for next week, or rather 2 weeks from today, because I'm actually taking next week off. But unfortunately, that plan did not come to fruition, because I still don't have anything quite nailed down. But stay tuned, because I will announce. I'm hoping to do at some point. Aaron and I are going to do Stardust. She's going to be she's going to be out of town on that particular day, or just getting back into town, I think. So we're not going to be able to do it quite yet, but I promise it is coming. I love that movie, and anytime Aaron,
such a good movie.
Anytime Aaron and I agree on something, we have to stream about it. So
that's awesome.
And then I think I'm also talking with a couple people about doing a stream on one of my personal favorite movies. I don't know if anybody will be watching, but it's the film Amadeus, which is just one of my all-time
Where have you
films.
been all my life, my friend? No one I know cares about Amadeus. That movie is the freaking greatness of great.
Well, you might be coming back then, AK.
I'm down. Let's do this.
All right.
I freaking love that movie. Mozart was freaking crazy, and I don't think people understand that. Yeah.
All right. So I think you guys might be hearing what's coming up next, because I actually my good friend Laura has said that she also wants to talk about that. So it looks like it'll be the three of us at least, and I know Nessie is also interested. I just the question for me is whether she'll be home or not, because I know obviously she has a busy work schedule and everything.
The real world don't stop for the streams, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we just have to try and time it right and make it all work. But yeah, so Amadeus is probably coming up. If not next, then at least in the very near future.
I don't know what that is. What's that about? Is it about Mozart?
Mozart.
It's literally about it's a fictional telling of his life, but it's a crazy ride. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, it's great. That is the movie that has never moved from my top 3 films of all time. And it was so funny because and I've told
it's third then. Let's be clear, because it's definitely third.
Right now it is, but at different points it's been. At one point, I think it was number 1, and then it was number 2 for a while. And I've had a rotation, AK. All right.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've watched that movie with adult eyes yet.
Yeah, well, I saw it for the first.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it for the first time when I was in high school in the 9th grade, because I saw it, of course.
9th grade. Wow.
In my
music, late to me.
In my music appreciation class, I saw it. And,
oh wow.
And I became such an obsessive over it and fell in love with Mozart's music as a result. And it was so funny because I was inviting my friends over and being like, you gotta watch this movie, Amadeus. And they were like, John, what are you making us watch?
I saw it for the first time, I think, when I was 8. And it was I was at one of my aunt's house. and me, my mom, and my little sister were there visiting in Brooklyn. And she was like, you've seen this? Do you like classical music? And my mom's not really big on classical music, but going through the schools that I went to a lot of schools for the arts. So I liked classical, and she put it on. I thought it was the most hilarious thing I had ever seen in my 8-year-old life. And I watched that movie like back to back until we went home. And it's always had a special place in my heart. I love that flick. But I don't think I've ever seen it with adult eyes. So this is going to be very interesting to watch and talk about. I'm glad you brought this up. Yeah,
the only thing that's going to annoy me is the fact that they have not officially released the original theatrical version of the film since it was out on DVD. It's the only version you can stream online now and stuff is the director's cut, which it doesn't ruin the film or anything, but it's just as someone who adores that movie, I learned every little beat of that movie, so it's I want the version I fell in love with. Give it to me.
Also, let me give a shout out real quick to Mary B in the chat. She's one of my Citadel of Trivia friends that hosts a show every other week mostly on Friday. So if y'all ever are bored on a Friday night, head over to the Citadel of Trivia channel and hang out with us because we be down there.
Yeah, Kelly's calling me out. You're not wrong. Lord of the Rings, Pride and Prejudice, Amadeus.
Amadeus, yeah. I think that's a fair assessment.
We lost Danny.
Oh no!
Hopefully
he'll be back. He's being quiet. We gotta give him talking points.
Yeah.
This is his first stream, y'all. If y'all didn't know, this is Danny's very first stream ever. So we gotta get him talking more. Did you hear what I said, sir? All right. We gotta get you. We gotta get you
musical screens.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
But that's fine. I'm being told that I'm not letting you talk enough, Danny. So
who's yelling at you?
I said it. That was me. I'll own that. You being too quiet, bruh. See, Danny is always in the chats, and he's always so talkative. So now I'm like, bro, we on screen now. Let's converse.
Well, you know what? Here's the crazy thing is. You mentioned Lily first, right? And that was literally in my notes. I said, I'm going right for Lily, my favorite character, the hero of the story, and AK, of course, goes first. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm gonna jump in with the cameo from the Defiant. That's gonna be my moment. I'm gonna get in, and then what AK goes, hey,
tell me to shut the fuck up then.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm playing around, but we're on the same page as far as this movie's concerned. So
we always vibe like that. We always vibe like that.
Everything you're saying, I'm with it 1,000%. So it's just shit. She said it first. So, but I can dig it. I like it.
Well, I'm gonna just. We're going to get through the rest of this mid-roll, and then I'm going to just cede the floor to you, Danny, and you're going to talk about whatever you want. AK, do you have...
This is the beginning of Danny. Danny is going to start his own channel. He's going to take over YouTube. This is the start.
We got to get you out here. We got to get you out here.
Yeah. So, AK, do you have something coming up that you're working on that you want to tell the folks about?
Nothing big, really. I think we've got maybe 2 more episodes of Loki left. So I've been doing the reactions with Lauren. Last week I went solo because she's in Scotland, so trying to match up times is hard sometimes because she's 5 hours ahead of us. But we should be back doing episode 5 and 6. I think there's only 2 more left. You tune in for those. Let's see. I'm going to be probably talking about some random tinfoil. If you guys follow Alt Shift X on his second channel, Alt Swift X, he went through the whole tinfoil iceberg, as they call it, tier list of theories that fans have made over the years. And I thought that'd be fun. I love tinfoil. So me and a couple of folks are going to get together. I'm going to pull some people together, and we'll probably do it in maybe 2 segments. And just go through it and give our opinions about all of the crazy theories that are out there, from R + L = J all the way to Tyrion being Drogo and Dany's kid. That's it's a whole mess.
And
Tinfoil gets crazy sometimes, but that's about it. I am gonna start doing editing, hopefully, pretty soon. So I'll just get out some of my random theories about shows that I watch that I don't necessarily stream on YouTube. Hopefully it works out. I'm horrible at editing. That's why I live stream most of the time, but we'll see how it goes.
Can I say, like, because for a couple of weeks there, I was basically doing these episodes recorded, and then we were just doing them as premieres. Like, I had enough of that. It's like, yeah, I couldn't stand listening to myself, you know, while I was in the chat with everybody. So the idea of like doing editing, which I can, you know, I'm an editor, I can do that, but I could not possibly stand editing something that features me, because it would be just listening to myself say the same things over and over, and I'd want to die. So,
I mean, yep.
God, imagine how the rest of us feel. Jesus.
Yeah, for all you guys that do it all the time, I give it to y'all. Like, if you look at my channel, the majority of things are live streams. I mean, there are a few videos that I have edited and put together. Like when we were doing Lovecraft Country, I did put out a couple theory videos for that, and you know, it's fun to do, but it's very time consuming, and that's where if something starts feeling too much like work for me, I lose the joy in it, and that's what I was trying to avoid. And also shout out to King McKay, the homie. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Thanks for coming through.
So anyway, Dan, bye. Yeah, he you know, he had to talk shit, so bye.
What happened here?
No, I'll bring him back.
Did you hit the wrong button too?
No, I removed him because he had to talk shit like as if I'm not hard enough on myself, Dan. That was.
I'm sorry, Don. I'm genuine. I'm really sorry. I'm not really.
But unfortunately, now I have to let you talk because you actually are doing a lot of stuff on your channel, including something that we recently did together. So go ahead and tell everybody.
Yeah. So John and I shot a rather long podcast talking about the changes in adaptation between the books and the movies in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Nice.
So we a podcast coming on my channel, which I'm halfway through editing, and I'm should have come out earlier on today. I was intending to bring it out earlier on today.
Well, it must be very hard.
Things happen.
It must be very hard for you, Dan. After all, you're having to listen to me talk.
Yeah, I know. It's difficult. No, it's a great podcast that we recorded together, but I'm still editing it, so it'll come out probably next week or in the next few days at least. So yeah,
awesome.
And it's in terms of what I've got coming on the channel. I've got the next, the second half of chapter 15 of the Silmarillion breakdown, where I'll have the voices of Yoyston from Men of the West and
I love Men of the West.
Nicolene Bangan from the Fellowship of Fans podcast, doing voices on the second half of that chapter breakdown. So that'll be coming next week, roughly.
That's awesome. Men of the West is so cool.
Yeah, he's cool. He's a friend of mine.
Tell him I'm a fan.
The Lord of the Rings YouTube community is very tight knit, so we all know each other. So it's
There's
really
not
good.
a lot of you guys. There's not a lot of you guys out there, actually.
No, I mean, well, it's growing all the time, but it's So
do you know Eric Hare too?
Do I know?
Eric Hare, what was it? Grendon, I think is the last name. He does a lot of lore of Middle Earth.
Arakir Galarthirathon
Yes.
I don't know him very well, but yeah, sort of a little bit. Yeah, not really. We have like a group chat and in the Lord of the Rings YouTube community, and he sort of never really pipes up except for once every sort of 6 months or so. So not really.
Gotcha.
But
just curious.
Yeah, no, he's cool though. He does a lot of video games content, and I do like his lore content that he does, but he doesn't do enough of it.
Yeah, not anymore. He does more Skyrim stuff than he does lore now.
But yeah. Anyway.
I have to say, I'm really jealous of the people that you get to talk to, Dan. I've often lamented the fact that I'm not just doing a Lord of the Rings channel, but there's too many other things that I like to talk about. So, but
you got to spread that nerd love around, John.
Yeah.
I think you're doing great. If ever you doubted, and if I've never said it before, I think I have, but I don't know. I'm drinking. I'm sorry. It makes me ramble. But you're freaking awesome. Please never doubt how awesome and cool you are. Okay, I'm very, very glad that I have been able to meet you and become friends and be on panels with you. Cheers to you, bud.
I'm gonna cry. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Likewise.
And yeah, I mean, thank you guys. Like that, honestly, for me, is what's made doing this so great. Because at first, I remember when I first started this channel, it was all about I wanted to meet people and talk to them about, you know, movies. So it was like I was asking people that I had never met before, like, you know, hey, I've got this channel, I want to talk about this movie. I hear that you have an interest in it. Would you like to do this? And more what it's become is just I like to get my friends together each week now and just to goof around. You know, we're talking about the movie, but we're just having a really fun time. And so it's just a joy to have you guys on. I love talking to you and yeah, so it's just thank you.
Always, man, always.
But yeah, so funny. When we moved back to the discussion, I was going to throw over to Danny, and now he's stepped out for a minute. So he has only himself to blame. But
what else do you have coming up? I know, like besides Amadeus or anything, is there anything like future plan that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm trying to get somebody to come on to actually. I don't know how popular this will be because this is kind of moving out of the nerd territory, but I'm wanting to do a stream on the film La La Land. So I'll be having someone.
La La Land. Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that I've got someone who is also interested in talking about that film. I don't want to say yet because I don't have their confirmation that they'll be coming on. So.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, don't jinx it.
But yeah, so that'll be coming up, and yeah, I'm just sort of. I'm sure Christina, Lady Triple, will be back on soon to talk about the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
You guys vibe so well together. I love watching y'all on the panel.
Yeah, and when we did the first one, it was really all over the place. So I hope you guys enjoyed that because it wasn't very focused on the movie. But,
it's still fun. It tends to be, well, from my experience with live streams, it tends to be the most fun when there isn't always that focus. Like, yeah, you know, we hit our bullet points and talk about, you know, the thing that we're here to talk about, but it's the chemistry of friends really just chatting and rambling off nonsense to each other. That's what makes it fun for me.
Yeah, Kelly, we can't do it now. I have to wait until you forget. And then I'm going to announce like 2 days beforehand that you're coming on the stream.
Okay, yo, I volunteer as tribute. If we're doing Sin City, Kelly, talk him into it.
Kelly doesn't like to have too much warning before she goes on a stream, so you know, don't let her know until the last minute, and then force it on her when she's not expecting it.
AK, you just might have to be like a semi-regular guest host. So.
I already sent you the message, man. I told you, tag me in, yo. I will rearrange my schedules and all of that, and we gonna talk this nerd shit. Let's go.
Excellent. Good. Yeah, because no secret, it's like I'll go and say it. I want to throw some love her way, and I won't make her blush because she's not currently here. But you know, obviously, Amy has been a part of the channel for a long while now, since last year, and she had to step away for personal reasons, which is entirely necessary and understandable.
Necessary, yes.
But it doesn't mean that it's not heartbreaking for me because I feel like her and I have such a great vibe together. She's my BFF, or one of them, I should say.
It's okay to have more than one best friend, y'all out there.
Yeah. But so I'm getting used to doing this on my own again. So yeah, any of you guys who would want to, come on, multiple times, the more the merrier, because I feel like I'm definitely I just like, having that rapport with my friends and being able to not just talk about a certain movie, but to just have a fun time, that comfortability that comes with, just chatting with your friends each week. And so, oh God, Steven, no, Steven, you're my brother. That's why Amy's allowed to be my BFF, because you're my brother. So yeah.
That's what it is, hanging out with friends and just chilling. Like, that's why I've said I probably could put in a little bit more work and monetize my channel, but it's never been about making money. I'm just here to talk nerd shit and hang out with my people.
Yeah,
that's it.
So yeah,
I'm here for the money personally.
I mean, y'all folks that do all that editing,
how can I get rich as soon as possible? When I thought, YouTube is going to be easy.
Look, see, Dan over here trying to get his Zephyr and Cochran on. That's the. I see you. I get it.
Can I just say, Dan, it really cracks me up because, you are doing so exceptionally well with your channel. I mean, it's insane. And I remember when you were first throwing up some of your Silmarillion videos, you were really concerned because you felt like, people weren't, tuning in and watching, and you didn't have enough viewers. And look, it blew up.
And look at you now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say I'm really proud of you because the stuff you put out is just amazing.
It's getting there, yeah. I'm definitely pleased with results so far. I'm gonna keep working hard at it, but
that's awesome. As long as it stays fun for you and you're enjoying it, then keep going. Keep going. You got great content. I don't always be commenting on people's stuff, but I watch a lot, and you are known. I think I maybe just now subscribed to you like over the last month or so, but I've been seeing your stuff in my feeds for years now. So come through is what I'm saying. Keep going. You got it. Keep going.
So Danny, I've been delaying getting back to the conversation.
You ran away.
This is the longest mid-roll ever.
Exactly. You know what it was. You know what it was. We told Danny that he got to talk, and he was like, "All right, yeah, I'll be right back."
I'm out.
I saw that, sir. Yeah, okay, you can't hide from AK.
I had to go watch a couple more minutes of the movie so I could figure out something to talk about.
All right, well, it's all you.
Well, let's get back to it. Come through.
All right.
What you got?
Yeah.
Go on. The floor is yours.
I think we were, going to talk about the confrontation between Lily and Picard. That's really great. Without Ridiculous Ed brought it up earlier in the chat. Like she doesn't realize the time bomb she planted in his head, like with that statement. Ahab.
She straight katana kicked him in the face.
She like Jedi mind tricks him without knowing. I
don't think anyone's ever done that to Picard in that way, have they?
No. There's one person that did it, but it was a completely different circumstance, so it doesn't necessarily fit, and that's Beverly. Beverly's the only one Picard ever let get out of pocket with him like that.
And I think I actually remember. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we know Picard is a book nerd, and that's his kryptonite is, American Renaissance era novelists. That's it.
And she didn't even know that. Like, how cool was that? She literally read him like a book and put that shit in his face, and he was like, well, fuck.
Yeah. And he kind of, his reaction to it initially is, he says, what? And then he goes into another level of rage. And then, you know, when she's leaving, when she realizes this guy's lost the plot, you know, there's no coming back, she says, all right, bye, Ahab. And that was when, you know, he has that ability to just, you know, recall instantly any quote from anything, you know, and that he gives that great quote from Moby Dick. That's just like the best scene for me. I love it.
Yeah, and actually, Pater is correcting me. So, and you are correct, sir. Guinan also. Those are the only. Well, no, there's three people. There's three people besides Lily. There is Beverly, Guinan, and his brother. His brother did not take shit ever. You come to me, and you what you down here crying for? Well, I heard you got caught by that little alien robot chick. What you want me to give you a hug? Yeah, tell you it's gonna be okay? Yeah, his brother pulled no fucking punches at all. Right. And got his ass all the way together. Yeah.
Called him at the dinner table about the award.
Right.
What you won?
Gave
what you
no fucks. Yeah. No fucks given at all. Like but the cool thing, the greatest thing about that episode was the whole relation. It was like that triangle between Picard, his brother, and his nephew, because his brother's son basically wants to be Picard. He's already dreaming about when he can go to Starfleet and get on a starship and do great things and explore and all of that. And his brother hated that shit. Yeah. Until that episode where they really came to an understanding. And then he finally not only understood his brother, but he understood his son. So at the end of the day, when Picard leaves and his wife is sitting there, we know we need to call him in. It's almost dinner time. He's like, nah. Leave him, let him sit there and look at the sky and dream. Yeah. He'll be all right. We'll call him in another few minutes. Let him chill for a little bit. And that growth, like it's never just these characters that are on the ship. It's always, the stories are great and the adventures they go through are great, but it's always the backstory and where they're coming from and the things that are going around. See you, Santi. Thank you for coming through, sis. Love you.
Santivia. Peace.
It's always everything that happens around them that we don't necessarily see up front on the screen, but it's implied in like the messages they get from home or in a random order they may get from Starfleet. And that type of connectivity just makes it so great to watch. It's one of the reasons why I love this movie. How it starts, Picard is damn near having a nightmare about being with the Borg. And then the Admiral calls him and he's like, no, I know. It's the Borg. Know. Yeah. And it's seamless the way they work it in. And I love that.
That's a great scene, AK, the nightmare within a nightmare. You know what I mean? He wakes up shocked.
Yeah.
And goes
I was just about to say that. How many people have had that experience as well, and having a nightmare inside a nightmare and not realizing you're still asleep.
Right. And it works. It works really well in horror movies, and this is kind of a horror movie,
It is. It is, yeah.
Yeah, but just to touch on that,
real talk,
the point about his brother, Picard's brother, it's kind of talked about a little bit about in that episode. His father had a hatred of technology too, and that was passed down to Picard's older brother, and then now we kind of get a glimpse into Picard's rebellious spirit. He goes to space because Dad wouldn't have gone to space, so I'm fucking going to space. There's just that kind of rebellion that we all kind of get.
And that there is the crux of what the real heart of the conflict was with Picard and his brother. And I can see it because Picard's brother, he's the older brother. He's the first kid. I am also, between my mom and my dad's kids, I'm the first kid. So when you're born first, there's a very heavy amount, if you have siblings, a very heavy amount of responsibility and expectation put on you that is damn near it's nerve-wracking and so crushing to deal with sometimes. So yeah, older brother, he's getting up. He has to follow exactly what that does. He's going through, he knows the plan. He's going to take over the family business and the farm and all of that. And this little asshole over here can just go sit and dream and go and stare at stars and run off on a fucking spaceship. Yeah. And that's okay, but I got to stay here and put in the real work to see what's going down. And that's where the real conflict was. And again, it's so human that's, I think, what Gene Roddenberry was really going at when he created this whole universe and pantheon of things. Yeah. It's human interaction dealing with otherworldly shit. And yeah, it's cool that we get to go meet aliens. I mean, and you can take it to even some of the aliens. It's really just being about a being. I won't say human because everybody isn't human, but it's a being that's having to go through life. And when you look at some of these stories, especially like, let's say someone like B'Elanna, because she's half Klingon, half human, huge freaking big deal on both of those sections because you never really stand right on either side. You have to walk a very fine middle line. And to someone like Seven also, who is a former Borg but still half Borg because of all of her cybernetics that she can't take out, and still being a human and having to redefine and find her humanity again. All of that backstory is what goes into this whole pantheon of drama. Yeah, seeing them in a space battle is great, but those quiet moments when they're just being themselves and they have those struggles to go through, that's what really makes the story rich and what makes everything great. And I love seeing it. Like that's why First Contact, I think, resonates so hard with me, especially because of Lily's character. You know, again, I know that people say there's too much things about race, but when it comes to this story, it's really spectacular and very forward thinking for the time that it came out to have a black woman be the lead, quote unquote sidekick for this story, to let everyone seeing everything through her eyes and through that lens. And I don't know if y'all know, but black women tend to see the world very critically and very differently than how other folks do. Yeah. So to see that again, that's why I said she's my favorite character in the whole movie, because it everything about her resonates how I know I would react in a certain situation. I wake up around strangers and I see some fuck shit going on. Yeah, the first thing I'm gonna do is throw hands, get the hell out of Dodge, grab a weapon, and then reassess later what's going on. Yeah. So, and whoever did the writing, and kudos to Jonathan Frakes, Riker, for directing this. If y'all didn't know, he directed this movie. Yeah. He caught that, to the T. He directed all of that perfectly, and that's just so great. Again, speaks to his skill as an actor and just as a person that knows people. It's just so great to see all of that. And again, I'm rambling because I'm drunk. Yeah, you assholes haven't told me to shut the fuck up, so I'm going to tell myself, AK, shut the fuck up, and let people talk.
I think this is Jonathan Frakes' directorial debut, isn't it? Am I right in saying that? I think so. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he directed a few episodes of TNG, but I don't remember.
I just want to backtrack for a second and say, AK, if you think for a second that you need to be quiet, you've absolutely misunderstood why I have invited you on. So
yeah, no, AK is really hitting all the points. I agree with everything she's talking about, especially Lily, also my favorite character. You think about the time she's living in. There's just got to be. It's got to be terrifying, and she gets up into space and okay, now there's fucking aliens, and she's scared of them, but she
aliens from the future.
Yeah, future aliens,
Well,
but
and the thing is,
but she's not sweating humans. She's got humans figured out. You know what I mean?
The thing that I know,
I know that I really myself, but I like that point.
What I really noticed watching the film this time was, and I think you guys touched on this earlier, it's like initially, yeah, she's dealing with a lot and she's responding as someone would, but like by the time they get into like the holodeck and stuff around that time, like she's sort of got her bearings and she's like, you know, she's like adjusted to the situation and now she's ready to like take things on. And I think that's really remarkable. And there's, you know, the reason why that, you know, I mean, that scene where she confronts Picard would not be what it is, you know, without, you know, her being such a phenomenally well written and well performed character. And, you know, and just absolute kudos to Alfre Woodard, who, you know, I mean, like just her performance in that scene, just like,
spot on.
Just, man, the two of them going head to head, and the way she calls him out, and she's like, liar, you know, she's really getting in his face, and I love the moments where then he, you know, yells out, no, before his like big explosion, and it takes her aback for a second because she's like pushed him, you know, a bit further than maybe she was expecting, and there's just that sort of moment of like, oh, you know, and I just love every beat of her performance. I mean, in the whole film, but in that scene especially, it's just, it's so amazing, and
it's really great, you know, because she calls Picard out about murdering Ensign Lynch, you know. She's like you enjoyed that, you know. I see it all the time, you know. And Picard stands up like all proper and offended, you know. How dare you? Fuck you, bitch. You really did like that. I know you. And
you know what my favorite part about that scene was? When she walks over to the broken display case and she picks up one of the models and she's like, you know, you broke your little ships. And he turns around and like the look on his face, it's so very subtle. Again, freaking Picard, Patrick Stewart, one of the greatest actors ever. And that's that theater training. I was a theater kid too. I know them cues. He just, he has this moment of dread. Like he hides it very quickly, but he sees exactly what she's saying. And it hits him, and that's why a couple minutes later we get that prepare to evacuate the ship, and let's start the self-destruct protocols. It's freaking gold.
And can I say that the reason why that moment of levity that comes in that scene where you know, he turns around and he says, "Moby Dick," and she says, "Actually, I never read it." The reason why that moment is so great is because you've had all this super heavy drama in this scene, and so it's the moment that allows the audience to, you know, to ease up and chuckle, and you know, and it adds the heartwarming feeling to that scene from that point on. And oh God, it's so good.
Yeah, and I'll bet, like, you know, the very first scene with Picard waking up from his nightmare, right by his couch is a bookshelf, you know, and I bet if you paused it and zoomed in, there's probably some
Moby Dick is probably on there.
You know, Shakespeare, Melville.
You know. There's probably some J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin on there too, knowing Picard.
You know, and that's another thing, you know, we can kind of fantasize about, that these guys know the ending. Like, they know when James is coming out. They know what's going on. So, what the fuck is going on?
That's such a good segue.
Like Lily knows Jon Snow's real name.
Shit, right. Lily knows Jon Snow's real name. Lily knows where Jon Snow ends up, and it's not going to be beyond the fucking wall. Yeah. Just saying. Sorry, it's been 2 years. I'm still mad about it. My bad.
Yeah.
Let me cut that off right now.
But she knows. They all do.
Maybe Picard stopped reading at book 5 and was just like, I give up on this.
No, it's Picard. When has Picard ever given up on anything?
He doesn't stop reading. He brought a book to Picard brought a book to Risa.
Exactly. Thank you.
He's not stopping.
Thank you. Speak on that. Yeah. This dude literally went to the live porn planet and brought a book as his entertainment.
and Riker kind of pranked him with that totem. You know, if you
the Horgon.
Yeah. You know what? Random sidebar. One of the best things that I remember about Risa from the series is Vanessa Williams was basically in charge of that planet. If you don't know who Vanessa Williams is,
I do.
Please go and Google her
trust
sexy ass.
Trust me, I do. Yeah.
Ooh, Lord. I mean, I'm talking about the young folks in the chat or anybody that might be watching this later. Google Vanessa Williams Risa, and you'll see who I'm talking about, and you'll see why it is very fitting that, she would be in charge of that shit.
Yeah, that was the DS9 episode where she was in charge, right? Where Worf and Dax went to Risa, and Worf was like just being a douche the entire episode.
Can I ask a question? And this has nothing to do with First Contact. Just sidebar question, and I want to answer from all three of y'all. Do you like Jadzia or Ezri?
Jadzia, without a doubt.
Danny?
That's Deep Space Nine, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not as versed in DS9 as I am. Like,
trust me. The answer is Jadzia.
All right, Dan.
I'll take that.
I think Jadzia, because Jadzia, there's a lot more material there to go with. But I do like Ezri as well. I like.
You're the only person that I've ever talked to that likes Ezri at all. I'm not a fan. Personally, I think Jadzia just had that. She had that moxie, man. She just she fucking bagged Worf. You know how awesome of a chick you got to be to get Worf. The last person that had Worf before her was fucking Deanna Troi.
Yeah,
you got to be on another level to get that dude's attention.
I do have to say, like, I knew about the general hatred for Ezri. Before watching the show, because I had read up on it, which also made me dread, because I knew ahead of time that Jadzia,
wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, and I loved her character so much. I do think it's a little unfair, just because Ezri only gets one season.
That's what I'm saying, right?
And she comes in at the end. It's like, of course, she's not going to measure up to Jadzia, who the audience loves. So.
Shout out Mary B. Shout out for that.
I like what they did. Yeah. I like what they did with her coming into that role and not understanding it totally and being confused by it all. And it was like a kind of transition. Not to get to sort of identity politics with it all, but it was like a sort of transition in a way. And I think that was actually a really interesting story beat that they touched on with her.
That is a fair point. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think made Jadzia great, and they handled that very well. I agree with you. Yeah. Because
she was very confused by the fact that she'd been moved into a different body, and it had all been very sudden on her. And I think there was a lot of potential with the Ezri character, is what I'm saying, I suppose.
And it was interesting, and again, sorry, John, it's off topic for the movie, but it was interesting to see that how different the same Trill could be in different hosts. Like Jadzia was, I think, a bit more like Corzon, all about the adventure and going hard. I mean, she was married to Worf. Like that's the level of awesomeness that she was on. Ezri, however, ended up with Bashir. And no shade to Dr. Bashir. I think he's awesome. And they did that actor wrong on Game of Thrones again, because everything always goes back to Thrones. But, fuck what they did with Dorn. But you can see, like Worf and Bashir are two very different people. But it's the same Trill that falls in love with both of them. But it takes into account the host that they have. And even when it comes down to like past hosts, when Jadzia saw it was Corzon's ex-wife, when that body died and she went into someone else, Trills don't usually meet anyone from their past lives. They purposely cut off all of those connections. And it was kind of heartbreaking to see, like Jadzia wanted to give it another go, but ex-wifey was all about sticking to the rules and not doing any of that. My feelings were hurt for Jadzia. Oof. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, again,
nobody's gonna beat Terry Farrell. She was just great in that part. So
yeah, she voiced the characters for a couple video games that came out after that too. So she's not out of the pantheon. She just wanted to be with her family more than be on the screen, which is totally understandable.
And I also do. I gotta give props also to, you mentioned Dr. Bashir, Alexander Siddig. He is an extraordinary
great
actor, and like everybody always thinks that I'm never gonna say anything bad about any part of Game of Thrones, but like, yeah, they did him rotten in that role. He had so much to offer. A performance of his that I love, which is actually, I think, the first thing I saw him in was Kingdom of Heaven. He has a part in that, and he's phenomenal there, and he's pretty much great in anything he pops up in. So it's like you have that actor to utilize, and you're gonna do that with his character. Just no, that was a bad move. Anyway, we'll move on from that. But
should we talk about this movie again?
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, Steven's totally right. My bad. I went off the rails again. I'm shutting up now. Y'all talk.
What movie are we talking about again? Oh, that's right. First Contact. Yeah, I don't even remember where. I know one thing I was going to bring up. So, are you guys like Cochrane, or can you do the Vulcan?
Yeah.
And signal?
Oh, totally. Nope. Both hands.
I can't do the other hand.
Why not?
Because
it's not that hard.
No, no, I can do. You want to know why I can do it with this hand? Because when I was younger, I always tried to do it, couldn't. I actually had a class in high school where it was like dealing with, I forget what the class is called, but it's like where you're dealing with clay and, making different things and stuff. And I took the ball of clay, and I actually stuck my hand like into it like this and just kept it like that for like 2 minutes and then pulled it out. I'd completely probably screwed up something with my hand, but ever since then I can do it just fine. Because I was determined that I was going to do, the Vulcan hand signal no matter what. So that's my completely unnecessary story for the stream.
Unnecessary, my ass. Have you seen all the random sidebars that I've taken you into? Talk that talk, man.
What high school did you go to where you had a class where you learned how to do the Vulcan salute, and you had a science fiction class?
Yeah, well, no, the class where I did the Vulcan thing was a normal class. I just decided to use it for my own purposes. The science fiction class, I had no explanation for. It's just because my TV production teacher loved science fiction.
Wait, hold on. TV production teacher?
Yeah.
That's enough already.
In what grade was this?
This was in high school. It was in both 11th and 12th grade. What the
fuck high school did you go to? What? I went to a school for the arts, but we were not doing freaking production and shit. What?
Well, I mean, the TV production class pretty much existed to have students do like a morning newscast.
What state was this in?
Florida.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. All right.
But no, it was great because now we're getting off in the weeds again. But like, I completely like blackmailed my teacher into basically there was some editing software on an Apple computer that nobody knew how to use, and I was like, "Hey, I'll figure out how to use this if you let me edit basically anything I want, as opposed to like school appropriate videos." So I was like making movie trailers and all kinds of stuff. Just so long as I figured out how to use it. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I start tapping you for lessons on this video editing game, don't be mad. Okay, you set yourself up for this.
I know. I say too much. It's just like when I worked at the TV news station and I told them I was good at editing. That was the last thing I ever should have done because
I was going to say, that's your job now. Don't do that.
Yeah, because I was...
Especially in high school. Don't do that.
Because I was a photographer, and that's what I was getting paid for. But then as soon as I let them know I was good at editing, they didn't have me switch over to being an editor. They had me do both jobs, you know.
See, this is why we vibe. So. I get it now. I've been into photography forever. Like I don't do a whole lot of it anymore, but yeah, basically whenever there's any event with my family, everybody's like, "Hey, yo, you bringing your camera, right?" Like anytime my church does anything, can you bring your camera and do this and this and that? Yeah. I got you, my guy. I see you.
I'm getting off in the weed right now.
And I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to get a refill so I could be in them weeds with y'all. BRB.
Oh, we're really getting deep into Star Trek First Contact. But no, I mean, I guess we are getting towards the end where we can start to wrap up. I mean, I'm trying to think, is there stuff that we haven't delved into that you guys really wanted to focus on? Because there's still actually, you know, some stuff from the movie that we haven't really gone into. But yeah,
I don't know. What does your plan say? What are we talking about next?
Plan.
Because we've wandered off topic a little.
I'm sorry. Were you under the impression that I go into these things with any kind of a plan?
Well,
because I really don't.
How about like Picard calling Worf a coward?
Yes. Okay.
There's some stuff there, right?
This picture comes after they've made up, but like it is one of my favorite things that comes later in the film, where, you know, Worf calls him out and says, you know, we should not, you know, needlessly sacrifice lives, and Picard is just like, you want to abandon ship or run away, you coward. And it's like
he's pushing that Klingon button, isn't he? Because he knows that is going to piss him off.
Yeah,
being a Klingon warrior.
You don't call a Klingon, especially a Klingon of Worf's caliber, a coward. And whoever was doing the writing for this movie, they said that shit right. If you were any other fucking man, I would kill you where you stand.
Yeah, I mean,
know that. I love you, but I will fucking deck you if you say some bullshit like that to me again.
Can I just say, like, Michael Dorn is always great as Worf.
Always.
Moment, oh my God, the way he says that, it's just like, oh.
You believe that shit.
Yeah.
You absolutely believe it. Like Picard, if you had not done in the past the things you've done for Worf and with him, and y'all didn't have that repertoire, he would have freaking punted you across the damn bridge. You would not have survived, sir.
Right. He's calling
you legit would have been dead.
Yeah.
You don't call a Klingon a coward, period. Right. You don't even say that to a Klingon child.
Yeah. In like the very first scene in the movie, Worf's first scene in the movie is him, you know, ramming speed with the Defiant, so we know he's not a coward. You know.
Oh, and I have to bring up the music again, because in that scene where you first see Worf, it's absolutely brilliant what Jerry Goldsmith does, because in all the other films, Star Trek films that he scored, which were the motion picture and Final Frontier, in both of those films, he brings in the Klingon theme, but it's in an antagonistic sense because, you know, the Klingons are not on, you know, on the side of the Federation in those films, or at least not for most. There's like some kind of an
not for a while,
towards the end of number 5. I think it's been a while. But then inversing that, where, you know, in First Contact, you got Worf, who is part of the Federation, but using that same music for that, it transforms it into an almost like a heroic piece of music. And you're like, yeah. And it's just absolutely brilliant. And then I just love the fact that his line is, you know, it's cutting into basically into the middle of a scene, and he's like, perhaps today is a good day to die.
Good day to die.
Yeah.
Yes. There are a few times where they really show the Klingon heart and the Klingon spirit. Like it's very, it tends to be somewhat muted, but you can tell it's at the same time still prominent with Worf. I mean, the only real other Klingon lens that we get is through B'Elanna on Voyager. And her especially, I think there's a lot of times where she is tested. And, because of, kids, no matter where they are, some kids are just bullies. And B'Elanna went through a lot of that being half Klingon growing up as a child. So there's a part of her that, grew up hating her Klingon self. And and when you look at the story of B'Elanna and some of the things she goes through on Voyager, it always boils down to how the Klingon side of her is going to handle things, especially when she was split from I think it was was it the it wasn't the Herosians. I forget the name of the species, but they had some random disease going on and they needed B'Elanna.
Yeah.
Her genes,
I can't remember what they're called either, but they used to harvest organs.
Harvest people, to try to save themselves. And the phage is what the disease was called. But they split B'Elanna into her Klingon human form separately. And the way she played that Klingon was everything that we had seen Worf play on Star Trek Next Generation and more. So that whole vibe and everything that you see Worf in this movie, all of that is in this little box. And in that one scene with Picard where he says, bruh, if you weren't my keeper, if you weren't my brother's keeper, basically, because if you know the series, Picard and Worf has vibed a lot, and he's chosen Picard to do a whole lot of shit for him that he should have chosen a Klingon to do, but Picard stepped up and he handled it. Yeah,
they have a kind of father-son relationship, don't they? These two.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And to hear Worf say something like that to Picard, that's when you know shit is serious.
Yeah. And
Picard knew exactly what he was doing, pushing his buttons, calling him a coward. You don't do that shit with a Klingon. You just don't.
Yeah.
And then and that's the thing. Picard knows he's deep down, he knows he's making the wrong decisions because he digs himself in deeper after that. He's like, get off my bridge. It's like, dude, you know you're wrong. Just
you could tell as soon as those words left his mouth, he knew he was wrong for that shit.
It's the one time, I don't know if but it's very rare that Worf doesn't, say let's attack. He very rarely counsels like, let's get out of here. We're patience or something like that. Let's leave. He never says that shit. He's always like, let's shoot this bitch. Let's get this fucking thing out of here. So it's just like that kind of running joke that it's always, no matter what Worf recommends, it's like, no, we're gonna do that other thing.
No, in the show, it was always Worf that would be like, went on the bridge in the bridge scenes where Picard would be looking for suggestions. Worf would always pipe up and it'd be like, let's shoot them.
Let's just kill them.
Let's fire phasers and photon torpedo. Let's just blow them out of the sky.
Yep.
And because Star Trek is Star Trek, it was always diplomacy is usually the better option.
Yeah.
And Worf would always be turned down from his suggestions. He would always be, sorry, Worf, but not this time.
You know what? The only other person, honestly, and it speaks to how they waste some of their characters sometimes. The only other person that was always ready to throw hands with Worf was freaking Denise Crosby. Tasha Yar. Tasha was always ready for a fight. Always, like before, if you didn't know, before Worf was head of security, Tasha Yar, the human, was head of security. And Worf was second in command. And don't think Tasha will fuck you up. Yeah. And I really wish they would have done more with her character, but they didn't, and that's why she left the show. I mean, they brought her back later as Sela. Bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh. The worst, the most lamest way for a character like Tasha Yar to die.
Yeah.
Sorry, John. I'm off the rails again. I'm gonna stop drinking.
That's fine. It's well merited because what the F? Yeah. It's like I remember watching like the series for the first time, like all the way through, which I was doing when they came out with the Blu-rays because they remastered the whole show, and so I was buying each season as they released those. And I watched that first season, and I mean, obviously the first couple seasons of TNG are a bit rocky to say the least.
Yeah.
But
especially the first one, yeah.
But that episode, I'm like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
So yeah. But but yeah, it's, and the nice thing about it, but that's also why I'm saying, talking about what they did with TNG and remastering it. What was nice about that was they didn't just do it for the Blu-rays. They then used those video masters to put on the streaming services. So now when you watch the show, it looks so beautiful and crystal clear and colorful, and so which is why I'm saying I want them to do that for the rest of Trek. Like, do that for Deep Space Nine. I want that show to look as great as it can, and that's why when I mentioned the documentary earlier, they actually remastered a certain amount of footage to show like clips of it in that documentary. And I remember watching it, I was like, oh my god, it looks so great. So they just need to do that for the whole show. But I'm trying to think of what else to mention about the film before we start to wrap up. This is one of the things about going completely all over the place, because I never know what we haven't touched on. I guess on a technical level, I want to mention a couple things. I really love what they did with the sort of costume design on this film, because this is when they introduced the new uniforms, which eventually popped up in, I think, DS9 as well.
DS9, yeah.
Yeah. And I just love it because I think that the feeling that I got watching this movie on like a production level with everything was that this was, Star Trek Generations took a lot of cues from the series as far as like the uniforms and some of the villains and stuff. This, but of course, this movie had the Borg, so this was also taken from. But this felt like the movie where the Next Generation kind of matured into like, this was their movie, and whereas Generations was like that halfway point between. It was still doing stuff with the original series with Kirk and stuff, but this was fully diving into the Next Generation and giving them like big major motion picture quality, like costumes and set design and everything. I just love the look of the movie.
Yeah, it feels different to Generations, which I think was the first TNG movie, which I think kind of, it felt like a feature-length episode of the TV show. It felt like a relatively mediocre episode of the TV show as well, because it wasn't a great movie. In a way, this is like the first movie that they went all in the TNG franchise. Well,
and it's funny because both Ronald D. Moore and Brandon Braga, who wrote both of the films, said that when they were writing Generations, they spent a lot of time on it and it just didn't come together real well. And then they had to write the finale of Next Generation like really quick.
Which is superb as well.
And that came out so much better than what they did on Generations. So
I have a random question.
Yep, go ahead.
And this would be maybe for a future stream, John, because it's something I've been thinking about lately after seeing a random post on Facebook. Can we talk about what the fuck was going on between Guinan and Q at some point?
Yeah.
Like, did it strike anybody else that maybe there's some history there that we need to know about?
Well, maybe we'll find out on Picard season 2, because they're both going to be in it. So.
Yeah.
Are they? Okay, see, I still gotta watch. I still gotta watch Picard season 1, but yeah, it's on my list. I'm definitely on that.
It's not particularly great. Just to warn you, but yeah.
Well, that's what I've heard. It's not it's watchable, but it's not great. But they got my girl 7 of 9 on there. I got to come through for Jerry Ryan, if nothing else.
It's funny because Steven and I were on different trajectories with that show, where like it started off, he was really enjoying the beginning, I was kind of so on it, and then he didn't like where it ended up, and I was really gung-ho about where it went. So it's like we passed each other on that one. But
hey, drive safe, Ed Tolle. Get home safe, man. He's always driving when we stream. Like I worry about that, man.
Yeah, be careful, man. Please
do.
But
was this the first time we saw those new implants from
for
LaForge's
Geordi
character, right?
Geordi, yeah.
Which, like, I totally get, because he was probably like, guys, I'm on the big screen now. Just let me uncover my face.
For an actor, that must be frustrating, actually, not to be able to see his eyes, you know.
I mean, I understand why they did the visor thing, because, it just looked really cool and futuristic tech. But at that point in time, for real, you mean to tell me y'all had these cool-ass warp drives, but you couldn't figure out how to just give him the eyes he had in the First Contact movie off rip?
That's exactly.
It doesn't make sense. It don't make sense.
I as I've been saying, I was listening to the writer's commentary, and they said that's exactly what LeVar Burton said. It's like you can figure out warp drive, but I'm stuck with these damn things.
Like, bro, how did we get here? You have fucking whole ass holodecks, but you can't give my boy just some cybernetic eyes. It has to be this visor nonsense, and he's the only person in the whole of the Pantheon we ever saw with those visors. That don't add up. The numbers don't add up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, especially with Deanna Troi, like when she's telling Zephram Cochrane, war, sickness, poverty, it's all been eliminated, and then like Geordi's in the background, like, really?
Like, you got rid of world hunger and all of that, but I still got to wear this damn visor.
Yeah. Poverty.
It don't make
disease,
sense.
War. That's what she says. Yeah.
Right. All they have cures for like all kinds of cancer and AIDS and everything, but I gotta wear this fucking visor.
Right. And they they can cure like radiation with just a quick little
with a little quick shot, and they don't even have regular needles anymore. They just got that thing to just press real quick through the skin.
Not even radiation, but in Voyager, the captain and Tom Paris turned into fucking amphibians.
Yeah, they turned into lizards, right?
And they cured it with just like a magic
cure for that,
a magic reset button.
And I gotta wear this fucking visor. I'm so like I'm really so overjoyed to know that I'm not the only person that think that's some bullshit. I will give a shout out though to Geordi, because one, obviously LeVar Burton, fucking cool as hell, but Marge Sinclair is who was cast as his mother on one of the episodes in The Next Generation. And if y'all don't know who Marge Sinclair is, I'm sure you've seen The Lion King. She voiced Sarabi, who was Simba's mom, and she was also the mom in Coming to America. She was Akeem's mom. Just so you know. I thought that was a cool little tidbit. I'm weird like that.
Didn't know that, but I remember that episode where she appeared.
One stepping back to talking about the confrontation between Picard and Worf, I just also wanted to comment on it's not only their confrontation, but also when they make up, is one of the more heartwarming moments in the movie, and it kind of a little humor thrown in there too, because first he says, "I'd like to apologize for some of the things I said to you earlier," and he goes, "Some." but then comes the line, "As a matter of fact, I think you're the bravest man I've ever known." And
that's facts. Yo, that wasn't just Picard trying to smooth things over. No, that's just facts.
If you look at all of those episodes, and like John was saying earlier, when it comes to getting shit done and going against the enemies, Worf is the first one to throw hands. Whether it's a phaser or go fisticuffs or having to shoot a torpedo, it doesn't matter. He's the first one. Yo, okay, can we kill these motherfuckers now? No? Okay, I'm all right. We'll just wait here.
Yeah, that's what, like
I appreciate you, Reflective Rambling. How do people not know who Sarabi is though, man? Nah, my Sinclair was that chick. There are certain actresses and actors that go under the radar sometimes, especially when it comes to my melanated folks. It's just a thing that happens in Hollywood. So I always try to shout them out when it happens, and rest in peace to Marge Sinclair. She would have been in Coming to America too had she still been alive, but we lost her a few years ago. So kudos to that lady.
But yeah. So anything else you guys want to mention about the movie? Or Star Trek in general, since we've gone all over the place with
I mean,
can we maybe talk about the final scene with Data and Picard and the end of the movie?
Yeah, go on.
What was it, like that 0.30 seconds or something or other that Data said was an eternity? Yeah, like I thought about it, but then I decided, I ain't really with that bitch. I'm gonna stay with my crew.
It was quite a long time. It was 0.56 something seconds, I think. So a very long time for an android.
An eternity for an android.
You know what's great about that? It's it's 0.68 seconds, right? And then
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I didn't realize it until maybe it was like a couple weeks ago. I watched the movie, and then you could see that moment when she says "fire" on the ship. He pauses very briefly.
You saw that.
Brent Spiner,
yes. Yes.
And that's the 0.68 seconds he was talking about. He's like, oh shit.
Picard didn't notice. Yeah, Picard thought that he was really going in with the Borg Queen. But if you're really paying attention and you look at how Data's going, he's basically trying to convey on his face, like, bruh, I got you. Okay, just fall back. Don't do no random Picard fuck shit to save the day, and I will handle this. Just chill out. I got you.
Yeah.
And you can see on Jean-Luc's face, like he's trying to figure out some scenario, something he could do to stop this. And it really takes all the way for those torpedoes to bypass the Cochrane's ship for him to realize, oh shit, okay, he planned this, he has it set, we good.
I like how he fires 3 torpedoes as well, because you don't need 3.
You don't need 3.
They're not even photon torpedoes; they're quantum torpedoes. You don't need 3 quantum torpedoes
on the most primitive spaceship ever built.
Dana's like, let me drive home. How much I'm not on board.
Right. Like you could almost see on Picard's face when he figured out, okay, all right, I'm gonna just wait here and see what happens. And then Data hits the side shields, and all of that shit leaks out. And Picard, he's on it, luckily, because if any of that hits you, any organic material melts right away. So he knew to get the hell out of Dodge. He started climbing.
We got that moment where Data gets to say the line. He's like, "Resistance is futile."
Futile, brilliance again. And Jonathan Frakes, kudos to Riker for how he directed this scene. It was done perfectly. Like Picard was genuinely scared that Data had been that compromised, and then he remembered, wait, that's fucking Data. That's my guy. He's not going to come into some bullshit and betray the crew. Not even betray the crew. He's not going to betray the family. So, I'm going to just fall back. And as soon as he saw what was happening, he started climbing up to get the hell out of the way. And the Borg Queen noticed just a little bit too late.
And then and Picard does get to do a little of his action hero stuff.
He got his little Indiana Jones swinging out the way moment. Yeah.
He's got his blue tank top on.
Right.
Oh man, it's scene right before that when Lily realizes that Picard's staying there, and he gives her that, he tells her, that touches some space too.
Bro, that was that moment where in any other movie, those two characters would have kissed, and said their goodbyes right then and there. It was just so great because you could kind of see it on Lily's face, like she saw the connection, but she was like, you know what? This dude is stealing from the future. I'm not going to be a part of that future, so I'm not going to let myself fall all the way there. Bro, okay, I understand. Go save your friend.
Do you think there was something between Lily and Zephyr Cochrane as well, though? Because they're like holding hands in the end scene when the Vulcans come and everything. We don't really see those two characters on screen together very much. We see them at the beginning and at the end, but we don't really.
You do, but you
don't really investigate that relationship, do we?
You could see there was a deeper connection there because Cochrane, again, he wasn't no showboating type of person. He saw himself as being on equal footing with everyone. So he was just there for the ride, basically. Yeah. He was directing the ride, but that's all he was there for.
For the money.
Yeah, exactly. And it would take a woman, or I mean, not even just a woman, but any person like Lily to come in to try to rein him back and keep him on track. So there's definitely a closeness that they had. I won't say that it was necessarily romantic, but she was like the BFF that kept him in line. Like, hey, yo, stupid.
Yeah. I feel like she has too much sense to get involved with him.
Exactly.
She knows humans too well to get involved with him. But she does She does say, like at the beginning, you could kind of read into it a little bit. She says, Zephyr Cochrane wants to stay and drink, and Lily's like, no, let's go home. So maybe they live together, or maybe they're just roommates, or whatever.
That's possible. See, you know what? See, and this again is why I say that I can identify a lot with Lily. A lot of times in our real world, even when it comes to a man and a woman and them just being really, really good friends, that shit seems like the biggest phenomenon to people. For whatever reason, there always has to be sex involved. Right. And there's not, like me and one of my best friends to this day, we worked at Steak and Shake together on OSU campus. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and we just vibed like that. Like literally me and this dude could be anywhere and fall asleep in the same bed. There ain't never no shenanigans happening. We just cool, and we got each other's back. And people see us interacting, they're like, oh, how long you and Alicia been dating? And he look at him like, what the fuck you mean we dating? What? That's just my homegirl. And people ask me the same shit. I'm like, nah, that's just my dude. Like, what? Yeah. What you talking about? How do you even think that we're dating? Like we literally argue like siblings all the damn time. So it's just it's that stigma that a lot of people get, that a man and a woman can't just really be really good platonic friends, and that's what I think Lily and Cochrane were. I don't think there was ever any romance involved at all. I think they were just really good friends, and she knew when to let him go and run free and be the unique unicorn that he was, and then when to rein him back in and smack him upside the head like, yo, bruh, you need to go to sleep. Stop drinking. Stop worrying about these bitches. We got shit to do tomorrow. Go to bed. Yeah. And that was it. But it's that close BFF that you need really to help you get through life sometimes. And I think that's what they were for each other. And it was great to see.
Yeah, you definitely get that vibe from them just in that initial scene where, she's like, I'm not going up there with the drunken pirate, and and it just that rapport between them, it's just I'm your buddy through and through, but get your shit together because we got things to do.
Yeah.
I always thought, you're thinking about Lily, and she is a great character. She is a great character. I always thought with her, it would have been really interesting to see her in Enterprise. She was never mentioned again anywhere else. But Zefram Cochrane was mentioned several times in Enterprise.
Yeah. Wasn't one of the bridge crew actually related to Cochrane? Like,
well, the captain,
was it Archer?
The captain's father was like best friends with Zefram Cochrane.
Oh, okay.
They worked together on the Warp 5 engine or something like that, as far as I recall.
Okay.
But
I thought it was an actual blood relation, but all right, yeah.
I don't think so. But in the first episode, they had a speech from James Cromwell as Zefram Cochrane, and that was like the kind of.
It's been a while since I watched Enterprise.
It was the kind of precursor to that whole season, and then he shows up again where they have the final scene from this movie, from First Contact, where he meets the Vulcans at the end.
Okay.
And they did a mirror universe episode where they had that scene, but then at the end he like pulls out a shotgun and shoots the Vulcan, and then like basically robs the Vulcans and steals their ship, and like basically that's the start of the mirror universe, like divergent timeline where the humans take over.
Say what you would about the mirror universe, but there are some characters in the mirror universe that were just cool as hell. The freaking Kira, their Inquisitor from Deep Space Nine. I'm sorry, I know she was evil as fuck and she wanted to kill and rule everyone, but it was Kira.
And she was hot and she knew it, you know. She could just get away with what she wanted.
Oh my, she owned that shit. Yo, Kira is like my number 2 favorite DS9 character. Just the Inquisitor. Oh, I love that bitch.
Can I just say, like, and this was another thing that was great about DS9. Just now we're talking about DS9 again. But
we need to just go ahead and do a DS9 stream, bro. Just set that shit up right now.
But just getting to watch all those characters evolve over the course of the entire show, because when the show first started off, like, I did not warm to Kira immediately. Like,
I loved her off rip.
Well, because like she's very antagonistic towards Cisco. Initially, which now I know why, obviously, once you have lived with that character for so long, you're like, yeah, of course she was. But it's like, anytime you got like your main character and then there's a character that's butting heads with your main character, it's kind of like, okay, I'm not a fan of yours. But then, like, once you really started to get to know her, she was unbelievably awesome. And I absolutely love her. And she guest starred on an episode of Battlestar Galactica.
Did she?
Because Ronald D. Moore was responsible for that show. And I remember after I watched Deep Space Nine, and then I was rewatching some Battlestar episodes, and I saw her. I was like, oh my God, it's Kira.
So the only other show that I know her big on, and also I loved her, even though it was small presence on, was a Dark Angel with Jessica Alba. Back in the day, she played basically one of the heads of Manticore. That was the secret organization making like the superhuman soldier kids. I thought she did great on that show. Very underrated show also. It's one of those gems that kind of flew under the radar. Aaron, Aaron, hugs and kisses to you. So many people don't know what Dark Angel is when I talk about him. Like, bruh, it was Jessica Alba and Valerie Miller being fucking awesome.
That's really all you need to say.
How do you not love original Cindy? Like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, I remember I bought Dark Angel on DVD when it came out. Was that just because it had Jessica Alba? Maybe.
Yes. Look, Jessica Alba and Valerie Ray Miller, okay? That's all you need to know. Michael Weatherly also. There's a damn fan fiction story in my head that I'll probably write out someday that absolutely connects Dark Angel with NCIS that Michael Weatherly also was on. I'll get to it someday, but you know, that's just where my mind be. I always connect shit in my fan fiction universes. Yes, Jensen Ackles was in Dark Angel too. Exactly. Yep. See, Aaron, yo, we got to talk fan fiction, okay? Matter of fact, I'm gonna need you to go to my fan fiction page on AO3 and read my The Rain Chronicles story and let me know what you think, okay? Because I connect like 10 different shows in that one story. So, you know, hit me up. Sorry, shameless plug. My bad.
AK, I gotta say, you really have got to hang out in the Slack more often because
I be trying to. Don't think that I just be ignoring y'all. I really don't. I honestly have a lot of shit going on in the real world, and the real world don't stop for the streams. Yeah, so I don't always have time to get to the Slack. I really don't. I'm so sorry, but I want to. Please don't think that I'm not there just like willingly. No, I definitely want to be there. I just don't have the time sometimes.
I'm just saying because you were so much fun to talk to, and I just love hearing your thoughts on so many different things. I'm like, man, we got to get you in there more often so you can.
I do need to be in there. Like I know y'all be doing the Zoom calls too, and I've only ever been able to make it to like one. If I had more time for real, I'd be there.
I missed that Zoom call by 10 minutes, and like they're like, "Oh, you just missed AK." I'm like, "What the?" I was so pissed.
I'm so sorry. I'm so. You know what? I remember that call. I remember that call because I'm pretty sure I had gotten off a stream earlier and I jumped in and I was already half drunk, so the vodka was hitting a little too right, and I need to go lay my ass down, so I couldn't stay that long that night.
Okay, I think we've sort of run around.
We've pretty much wrapped the movie. I think even with all of our random side chat, I think we've wrapped the movie. And I'm going to end on this movie was great. And John, thank you again for pulling us together to talk about it. And I freaking love this movie. And I hurt you guys.
Yeah, first of all, I want all of you guys just back as often as you want to be. About the movie, I will say this has been one of my very favorite movies ever since it was out. And that's not just Star Trek movies or even science fiction movies. It's just, I love this movie so much. Yeah. It tugged at my heartstrings. It makes me feel things. I think in a way, it did it in a way that other Trek films maybe hadn't even done. It's just, there's something it's just really great. And part of that is, I'm going to say once more, part of that is the music, because I love Jerry Goldsmith's score.
It is.
Yeah, the music's great.
Do
you like it more than Wrath of Khan?
Yeah, hold on. I just want to say, you guys know I have the
there it is. Yes,
the limited edition complete score for this film, which I got back in 2012. So I remember when that got announced, I was like, I am getting that shit. It is mine.
Right. Look. That's the perfect time to use that meme from Wayne's World. You know, when Wayne is looking at that guitar. It will be mine. Oh yes. It will be mine.
Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith manages to be quite overrated and underrated. Highly regarded, but also underrated. Do you know what I mean?
I was going to say, when you said overrated,
he's not overrated.
We're going to have some words.
No. Not overrated, but he's underrated, but he's also highly regarded. You know, he's one of those he's in the pantheon of top movie composers, you know, but he's also, I think he's underrated because this score is great. Agreed. And I don't think I've heard a bad score from him ever. And
agreed.
I mean, all of his stuff is great.
Even his lesser scores are better than what most composers can ever dream of. So
there's some stuff, there's some songs, when the Borg are on screen that are they have the bells and it's really kind of metallic and chimes, and it really does, it kind of sets your mind to
that reminds me well, actually it reminds me because he actually did not work on this film entirely by himself. A lot of the Borg action music was written by his son Joel Goldsmith. and they worked
Really?
together on this. Yeah,
I did not know that. Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, but when I hear
That's
that,
like Stephen King and
kinda,
his son doing stories together. That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, when I hear that kind of Borg stuff and the chimes and bells, it could almost be maybe in Casa Doom or Isengard or something like that. I kind of get that feel.
There isn't enough time for me to start in on Howard Shore's
I was about
Lord
to
of the
say,
Rings music.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to cover Howard Shore and Lord of the Rings in whole other like 3 or 4 streams, man. We can't do that in one stream.
Which, by the way, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be smart if I didn't take the time then at the mere mention of that to plug my stream that I did with Mr. Doug Adams, who literally wrote the book on Howard Shore's.
Plug that shit.
So check that out. It's still like one of my favorite things that I've ever done on this channel. That was a dream come true. So everybody make sure you check out that stream if you haven't already. Even if you have, watch it again. But I will never have enough of talking more, Howard Shore, Lord of the Rings stuff. So if you guys do want to come on and talk about that, we can. Maybe I'll even get Doug back. I'll and we can do like a group thing. That would be fun too. But oh, Aaron, see, and that's the thing. Like, I have to have Aaron on for that too, because like it was one thing where I was like doing a one-on-one interview with Doug, but like if there's another stream I do talking about the Lord of the Rings scores, she will murder me if she's not on it. So yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't get murdered. Please don't get murdered. We need you to stay here.
But yeah, so I just I love this movie. Everything about it. It's just one of my favorite movies of all time. And yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it your favorite Star Trek movie though? Like, how would you rank Star Trek movies? Because there's some other very good Star Trek movies.
Yeah. And also, my tastes have sort of changed over the years, because I know when I was younger, I would have said that it was definitely Star Trek 4 that was my favorite. But then I really came to love Wrath of Khan a lot. But then there's this one, so I'll make it easy on myself and just say, like, this is obviously the best Next Generation film, and we'll keep the original, crew in a separate category, so I don't have to, so I don't have to break my heart.
Okay.
But yeah.
I think Star Trek 6 is also an incredible film.
Oh, it is.
I mean,
yeah.
I think Star Trek 3 is underrated as well. There's a lot of good Star Trek movies.
Yeah, well, Star Trek, if nothing else, Star Trek 3 has that great, scene where they're stealing the Enterprise. Which, talking about music, that is one of James Horner's finest achievements. That whole sequence, it's brilliant. I've decided that I just need multiple streams now in movie scores in general, so we can cover a bunch of different composers and film series. It's needed. But I'll leave it to the Dans now for some final comments on the movie.
Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, sure.
You want to go?
What am I?
First if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just about how you place it in the Star Trek filmographies. This is definitely by hands down my favorite Star Trek movie. I break out the Zefram Cochrane fingerless gloves, put on the Beverly Crusher wig, and I'm in for 2 hours. It's the best. Oh,
Beverly Crusher. Yo, fun fact, Faye McKadden, she actually has a twin sister that is in Hollywood as well. Her sister worked on the Labyrinth movie with Jennifer Connelly and David Bowie.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
She helped with the puppeteering.
Yeah, so Dan, do you have any final comments on the film?
Yeah, closing thoughts. Just awesome movie. Best TNG movie by quite a distance, I think. formative part of my childhood that I love. And as I say, like it's interesting to see the Borg evolve. Because I always loved the Borg.
Yeah.
I always loved the Borg so much. They were such an interesting villain. And the Borg Queen some people criticize the change in the Borg in this movie quite a bit, because people talk about how the introduction of the Borg Queen like changing the Borg, because they changed from something that was very science fiction, and it was the hive mind thing, and it changed from that to them being like zombies and her being their necromancer. I think the performance of Alex Krige like kind of sold it.
Was
really.
Great. Yeah.
And I think it makes sense. The line that she has where she talks about how there's no division between her and the collective. She is the Borg.
She is the Borg.
She says she brings order to chaos.
That's what sold it. Yeah.
An interesting, if cryptic, response.
That's what sold the whole thing. That was great. Indeed.
I mean, it's just a beautiful movie. The way the suspense is done, the music is perfect, and love it really. The change of the uniform, the new ship as well. As a Star Trek person, the Sovereign class is just a beautiful ship. It's beautiful.
We haven't ever directly mentioned the Enterprise E throughout this entire stream. Yeah, it was a new ship.
Brand new.
I think it's the best design that the Starship design people have ever come up with. Probably. I mean, at least in terms of motion pictures, it's just gorgeous looking. Closing thoughts. I love this movie so much. I think as far as like in the Star Trek canon and like which movies do I like the most, I think I like Wrath of Khan slightly more, but not by very much. I think this is probably my second favorite. Star Trek 6 is also awesome. But yeah, I will say once again, like harping on my earlier note about Deep Space Nine needing like an overhaul, on the as far as the visual, video quality and all that. I will say actually the same thing about the films. They're overdue for some 4K remasters, because these are these are some beautiful films, and I want them to look as great as they possibly can. So hopefully that's coming soon. This movie holds up really well as well, though, in 1080p. Like, it's not like it's dated watching it now.
No, the visual effects are actually still look very beautiful. And and Jonathan Frakes' direction, just the film looks visually great. It's got a lot of the style is very nice. He did a great job with this film. So closing, I'll just once again tease some stuff that's coming ahead, even though nothing's nailed down yet. It's looking like Amadeus will probably be the next thing.
Amadeus.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to talk about that song too, though.
Oh, you can talk about the song, and I'll just go on about all the Mozart's actual pieces throughout the film.
For sure. But that was a staple song of the 80s, and I guess I'm only paying attention to it because I'm an 80s kid. That song was everything.
But and then Aaron and I soon will be doing Stardust as soon as we can figure out a week that we're both available to do it, and then I also have a stream for the film La La Land coming up, so watch out for that. And and Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest will definitely be coming up soon as well.
Yes, I love Dead Man's Chest.
Which it feels like it's been a while since I did a Kira stream, so it's overdue. So yeah.
Yeah, I always make fun of you and Amy when you're talking about the Knights of Kira, but low key, I love Keira Knightley. I really do.
Yeah, we have a non-believer on here, so I won't dwell on it for too long. Yeah. So once again, AK, what do you have coming up, and where can people find you?
You can find me if you want to watch some old reruns, and also random auntie shenanigans. There were some times where I streamed at my aunt's house, and there were always shenanigans afoot, including me. One of my cousins trying to make me eat cupcakes, and one of my aunts just happened to walking around off screen naked coming out the shower. It was that was on my Lovecraft stream. It was a whole thing. It's comedy. Go check it out. Coming up, we're going to be finishing. Me and Lauren are going to be finishing out the Loki series. So if you've been following on Disney Plus and watching Loki, come hang with us. I think they drop usually around like 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US, but I have work. Real life don't stop for the stream. So me and Lauren usually live react to it as we're watching for the first time around 5 or 6 p.m. on Fridays. Not Fridays, I'm sorry, Wednesdays when it comes out. So check us out for that. I might be doing some random tinfoil theories, I think, to go through the tinfoil of Game of Thrones iceberg that has been put forth, just like Alt Shift X did. Me, Lauren, I think Samar09 and LMR, Live for My Rhapsody, are gonna come through and talk about that. Let's see, what else? I don't have a whole lot of other things planned. I might be doing some CW Kung Fu discussions. Well, probably just one more discussion when Amy Blackfire is ready, because her and I vibe real hard on that show because it's awesome and steeped in Chinese culture, and she's an expert in ancient Chinese culture, if you didn't know.
Oh, is she? I was not aware of this.
Yeah. Shut up. Right. So, as soon as I saw that and I was like, ancient China, okay, there's only one person I know who can give me all of the facts that I don't know. And I went to Twitter right away and messaged her like, yo, Amy, look at this and tell me if you want to talk about it. So, but again, like John said earlier, she's had to step away from streams for a bit. So hopefully when she's ready to come back, we're going to talk about that and get some good stuff. It's a good show on CW. Go watch it. It's called Kung Fu. If you remember from back in the day, if you're an 80s kid like me, David Carradine actually starred in the Kung Fu series, and this series currently now is based off of that. It's not a reboot, but it's kind of steeped in that same world, just a bit more with the magic in it, and it's got magic weapons. So if you know AK and you've been following me, I love weapons in general, but when you put magic mixed into that shit, oh yeah, I'm all over that. So go watch that TV show. You don't even got to watch me, but just go watch that TV show. Besides that, I might be doing, I know John knows, but I don't know if Dan or Danny know. The Mad Queens used to do a segment that we called Ginger Ale Chats. And that was basically our, late night talks about any random, sexual thing going on with humans. And, we had this thing called like the Deadly Dick List, superheroes that we would absolutely want to stay away from. And also because, I'm a lady loving lady and I'm the only one on the panel, we have to do the Deadly Pussy List as well. So, ladies that in the superhero fandom that you might just want to stay away from, even though they hot, you can't be messing with everybody out here in these superhero streets. Regular humans ain't built like that. So I might be starting my own segment. I think it's called Ginger Ale because Monero used to do it on her channel, and Monero don't drink like a lot of us. She drinks ginger ale, so that's what we called it. But I do drinks, and I don't want to necessarily do a ginger ale chat without my ladies. So I think I'm gonna call it ginger beer. Because I love that. I love that. I love the hell out of that because AK's heritage is West Indian. So I knows about the ginger beer. There's not everybody that knows about ginger beer. Dan already got it.
Oh yeah, I know all about ginger beer.
I am pretty and that's because really, the English countries over there across the pond, they basically like New York. There's a lot of West Indians that go there. So
I live in Hackney, like it's the most like West Indian area in London, practically.
See, and that again is another reason why I wanted to do this stream. When John told me that Danny McKay, my homie from the chats, and that Dan from Voice of Geekdom was being on there, I was like, bruh, I'm all over that shit. I got you. I will be there. AK will be there in a hot second. You need to tell me nothing else. Whatever even if it wasn't first contact, whatever we were going to talk about, just because these two gentlemen were there, I was going to be there. That was just, status quo. That was the way it was. So
I want to say bye to Kelly real quick. And
Kelly.
And that also reminds
you, my lady.
Yeah, and that also reminds me that we were just mentioned earlier about doing the Sin City stream. Like we're gonna put that together, and now that AK is on board for that,
yes, indeed. And, Kelly, I have not done a stream with you, man. When I seen you out here in these stream streets, I'm jealous. So we got to do this, okay? You got to correct that situation. But yeah, so that's basically all I got going on. I'm going to do some random late night. I'm going to call my chats ginger beer because I don't want to do a ginger ale chat without my Mad Queen. So I got to change it to ginger beer, and that's steeped in my heritage. And I like the adult talks. We don't always just sit and randomly chat about sex dolls and random toys that we maybe or maybe don't want to use in the bedroom. And I think, Americans just as a whole need to come off that shit, because across the pond, and Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I know from a lot of my other friends that live across the pond, that ain't really a whole lot of nothing to talk about. Like y'all ain't always too secretive about that shit, and I love that.
Well, compared with you Americans, yes, yeah, for sure.
Right, when it comes up in conversation, okay, that's just a part of the conversation. But a lot of Americans,
and nobody is more prudish than Americans in general. So you guys could definitely use some more ginger beer in your life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for putting it out there like that, because that is exactly what I run into, and I'm trying to change that. We need to just be open about this shit, and then it won't be an issue. There's so much more I can say about that, but that ain't this stream. So again, come check AK out. I'm gonna have some things popping off on the channel, but again, follow all of my friends. Get with John. Follow John Webster, get with the Voice of Geekdom, follow him, follow Men of the West, Eric Garenden, something or other. I can't pronounce the Elvish name, I'm sorry. But, follow Danny. Danny, you making a channel, whether you know it or not, okay? You making a channel. I'm telling you that right now. Follow Danny, follow all of my peoples, Here Be Dragons. Please get on that. Follow Nessie, because she got some stuff popping off. And, once Amy comes back, we're going to be back to, bleak the patriarchy. Okay. And just follow all my folks, Teflon TV, the Mad Queens, all of those peoples, LMR, Live My Rhapsody, come hang with us. TGP, the granite person, me and him, he tagged me in to do a poem a couple weeks ago, and I'll put the link in the chat later. But if you like poetry and just like to see random stuffs, come hang with us, okay? I'm start popping off pretty sure. I'm trying to get polished and more regal about my stuff, like John and Dan be doing. So I'm gonna have some stuff out there, so just come check us out. And that's it. And again, I love fan fiction. I posted my links for my fanfic pages in the chat. I am not afraid of constructive criticism. I welcome it. It helps me be a better writer and formulator of stories. So go check it out and give me honest opinions. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. AK.
All right. And Dan, once again, what do you have coming up, and where can people find you?
People can find me at Voice of Geekdom is my YouTube channel, at Voice of Geek on Twitter. As far as what I've got coming up, I got a podcast with John coming out probably in the next few days, because I'm gonna definitely edit it tomorrow. And as far as what I've got going on the channel, I cover the Silmarillion in depth. So if you're into Tolkien, check that out. And I've got content on Numenor, and I do random other little lore videos as well. I do podcasts as well, where we invite different people on to talk about different things.
Yeah, trust me, guys. You want to check out his
Indeed, yes, you do.
Yes, you do. If you're even the least bit interested in Lord of the Rings and Tolkien and stuff, go watch his stuff. And Danny, where can people find you?
I don't have anything going on. I'll just be in the Slack, and I'll be in your chat room, and that's it.
Okay,
that's
cool.
Sometimes it be like that.
Yeah.
That reminds me of when Amy and I had her friend Jenna on, and we were like, and where can people find you on Twitter? And she's like, please don't.
Right. Yeah,
she be shy sometimes. That's all it is.
My Instagram is private, but I got a couple of folks from the Slack on there. If you're from the nerd space, I'll accept you. You know what I mean?
I tried to do Instagram. I couldn't.
Yeah.
The only thing that I've been able to consistently do on Instagram is the Knights of Kira account, which is pretty damn easy.
Which I don't follow, by the way.
Oh, really? Dan? I was not aware.
How dare you? How very dare you? Tisk.
And speaking of which, since I've gone ahead and mentioned it anyway, do follow the Knights of Kira. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So once again, just thank you guys for coming on. I love this movie, and it was a blast to talk to you guys. It's been a little, rough getting back into all this, especially without Amy. She's been my cohort, and doing this, the two of us side by side for a good year now. So it's been tough to figure out what this is, just doing it on my own, but I had such an absolute blast tonight. It was a lot of fun having you guys. So thank you. And
thank you for having us.
Yeah. And looking forward to having all you guys back for, different streams and whatnot. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Looks like we had a real nice group of people tonight. And
Ridiculous Ed made it home safe.
Indeed.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Yeah. That it really scares me, the thought of somebody like watching or listening to this while they're driving home. I'm like, please be careful.
Yeah. We are very chaotic neutral, so you gotta be careful sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight and watching. And once again, I'll be off next week because I'm trying to take care of myself a bit more and not be doing 2 streams a week every week. And next week over on Here Be Dragons, we're going to be covering season 6 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So I want to make sure that I can devote some time to rewatching those episodes and getting ready for that. Plus, I have work too, so there's that.
Real life don't stop for the streams.
Yeah, but then I'll be back the week after, and we'll figure out exactly which movie we're going to discuss. I want to remind you guys to tune in to Here Be Dragons tomorrow. I'm actually going to be taking this week off because, of course, like I just said, sometimes you just need to focus in on one thing on a certain week. But be sure to tune in. My man Steven will be doing something. I'm not quite sure what he's doing yet.
Tomorrow, I think, right?
Yeah, it's tomorrow at 6:00. I know he had a plan that may have fallen through because I might have stolen Danny away from him. Possibly.
I got my
bum.
I use my me time pass for tonight, so
yeah. But I know he'll be doing something great either way. So make sure you tune in tomorrow and every week to Here Be Dragons. Nessie and I are always having a great time. Speaking of which, make sure you check out Nessie's channel, The Unspun Yarn.
Indeed.
Yeah, because she does absolutely phenomenal stuff over there,
the most underrated channel on YouTube, I think.
If I had something to, if I had something to
we
plug,
did a stream about
The Unspun Yarn.
Good. Yeah, we did a stream about Sphinxes, a little while back. I think you guys would enjoy that as well.
Yeah, her and Steven did a stream about dragons in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, and it's literally the nerdiest thing in the world. It's like
and it was so great to watch though. Yes. It's awesome.
And speaking of which, speaking of Nessie, go ahead and if any of you guys missed it last week, her and I did an entire stream focused on the one, the only Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, who Nessie absolutely adores.
I was there for that.
And who can blame her, because Qui-Gon is amazing. So go ahead and check out that stream. We had a lot of fun doing that. And that's about it. I cannot believe that we went almost 3 hours for this.
Shit. Yeah, we are like 6 minutes under 3 hours. Holy shit.
I did not anticipate that, but I'm perfectly happy because, like I said, I had so much fun tonight. Yeah. So thank you
rookie
guys.
Numbers compared to the Lord of the Rings streams.
Right, that's what I'm saying though. Don't play that on a low level at all, John, though. A 3 hour stream, that's a lot, my guy.
Yeah, I'll never forget those Lord of the Rings streams though, because I always say that the reason I think why I got great numbers for those streams was because people just thought they were clicking on the movie because they went for so long.
That's a valid concern. I got that a lot when I was doing my Game of Thrones live reactions as the episode was happening. Yeah, so I get it.
But we'll go ahead and wrap up. I'll just say thank you again to you guys and to everybody watching. All the support you guys have always given me. It just means a lot. And I do this just so I can have fun with my friends. And, and it's always a joy when I can do that. So thank you. And I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful night and live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.